You got to kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you got to take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells.
Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Folks, welcome to Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my co-host, Will.
May thine blade chip and shatter.
On this show, we explore both new and familiar movies as we attempt to analyze and interpret them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. And today we are doing a pretty gargantuan task. I'm going to be honest. We're going to cover two movies.
In one.
And these are not short movies. They are both 2.5 hours at least.
Yeah.
But we're doing Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2.
We're doing two movies at the same time.
I'm so glad you made that joke.
You're welcome.
I can't believe I didn't even think of
You're welcome. I had so many different quotes I was gonna do, especially if we like split these two, because I was gonna do May thine, and I know it's not blade, it's knife.
It's knife.
May thine knife chip and shatter. That's my bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I was also gonna be like,
you're gonna get clowned in the comments.
Yeah,
though.
I know,
That was a real Will flub there.
I fucked up there. I'm sorry. I was also
that one's for the flip heads.
I was going to do the Dune 2 movies at the same time. If we did the Dune 2
I would have died, though. You would have totally ruined my flow.
And then I wanted to do the Baron Harkonnen thing where it's like, my spice, my Arrakis, my Dune.
Podcast. Oh.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I wanted to do that, but I can't remember everything he fucking says.
Yeah.
But May thine knife chip and shatter is like instantly recognizable. The best quote from that movie, both movies,
yes.
in fact. Yeah.
And there's so many riffs on it on Twitter too that
it's so good.
God, there were so many people just being like, it's so adorable how Austin Butler's character just has nothing better to say and just says it back to him. And it's like, oh, may your knife chip and shatter.
He's just so taken aback that he's being shown honor because, like,
right.
Oh my God, I'm diving right in.
I know.
Whoa.
God. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Okay. So, as a disclaimer, we are going to spoil the fuck out of these movies.
Yes.
Both Part 1 and Part 2. So if you've not seen either and you intend to and you don't want to be spoiled,
turn it off.
Probably turn this off and come back to us later. I'm so sorry, but like, please don't get spoiled. I would rather you see the movie than come back to us.
Yeah, these movies are absolutely, without a doubt, like something you need to watch.
Yeah, hands down, I would. It is insane how accessible these movies are. And they're making so much money. Like, there are people at work that are like clamoring about this movie, and I'm like, this movie does not feel like it is for quote unquote normies.
Yeah.
At all. But
Denny does it, dude.
Denny fucking did it, man.
He fucking did it.
I love the guy. He is my favorite living director, and I have felt that way since Blade Runner 2049 is when that solidified for me.
Right.
And I know it's like, okay, I know you're not clued on the film Twitter, so I sometimes I feel like an asshole when I like bring up, well, this is big on film Twitter, but like I want to give the context. But I feel like I have to give the context sometimes.
No, I like it when you do this sometimes.
Okay, especially I'm glad it's not annoying.
Oftentimes it's very funny. So like, I do like this stuff.
Well, it is a like since Part 2 has come out, like there has been a little bit of blowback from people on film Twitter being like, oh, he's just the new Nolan now. This is what like all frat guys like now. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Fuck off. Like, Nolan has like legitimacy. You know, he always has.
Nolan films for frat guys, like what frat guys who are trying to be like intellectual? Is that?
Yeah. Since Dark Knight, Inception, because they're like movies that like dumb people think are smart is the kind of thing. Okay, sure. I am being.
I mean, I'm guilty of it.
I'm insulting those movies by like saying, but this is just generally how some of film Twitter talks about them.
Right. Okay.
They are incredible films.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, there are like they have dumb fans. You know, like that's just what it is.
I'm one of them.
Like sometimes the Nolan fanboys can be obnoxious, is what I'm saying.
I understand,
and I am a Nolan fanboy. I love the guy. Yeah. Like his films completely like made me. Yeah, honestly, it was Nolan who really like opened me up to film and made me go whole hog on being a fucking film nerd. Because like I always kind of was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I really got into Batman Begins and The Dark Knight that like I went fucking full-fledged. I have a movie podcast now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Batman Begins was your Martyrs. I understand.
Yeah, it unlocked something in me.
Yeah.
Dark Knight really did it.
It's a good movie.
I did see Batman Begins in theaters. like completely on a whim. It was just like me going with my girlfriend and her friends.
Sure.
And then I was like sitting there being like, oh my God.
There's something special here. Yeah, no, I feel it.
And then I just full on like jizzed all over the seat in Dark Knight, opening night.
Yeah. I don't doubt that.
Jesus, I can't believe I made a cum joke. Okay.
Hey, but we're reversing roles today, baby.
There was some brouhaha on Twitter about how like, oh, well, Denis, okay, I got to get this straight. Denis
Villeneuve.
So I watched him. I watched a supercut of him pronouncing his own name.
Is it Villeneuve?
I think it says Villeneuve.
Oh, okay.
Is how phonetically I think how he says it. Again, I know zero French Canadian. I am so sorry.
Oh, he's French Canadian.
He's French Canadian. We're gonna butcher his name. But I know it's pronounced Denis.
It's gotta be Villeneuve.
It looks like Dennis. It's pronounced Denis for people that are confused and listening.
Yeah.
And I believe his last name is pronounced Villeneuve.
Yeah,
Villeneuve. Oh my God. I'm just gonna say Denis, but. For the folks at home,
I'm not going to do it.
You know where we are for the folks at home. But yeah, they're like, oh, he's just the new Nolan now. This is like what frat guys like. It's like, dumb movies for smart people or like smart movies for dumb people, whatever. And that's so reductive.
People have nice things.
Exactly. I'm like, let a man who was able to bridge the gap between like
weird sci-fi and normies. Yes. Dude, he's doing what like Star Wars wishes or even Star Trek wishes they could do.
Right.
Like,
and I've seen so many people, his biggest criticisms are his movies are like cold and inhuman and don't have a lot of dialogue. And what dialogue they do have is not very impactful.
Sure. Okay.
I will say those are valid criticisms,
but not with the second Dune movie.
But I don't. That's the thing, though. Like, yeah, maybe the dialogue isn't as memorable as some films.
Sure.
But I don't see it as cold at all. And I think it's because I'm maybe on the same spectrum as he is or something.
Sure.
Because I just thinking about Blade Runner 2049 makes me so emotional. I love that movie so much. And it is about an android thinking to kind of spoil that movie, thinking he is one thing, and then coming to terms with certain things, and then making other realizations. And then when he has that realization, that scene where Ryan Gosling kind of breaks down, oh my God. And that whole movie like deceives you so well.
Yeah.
And you're swelling with him. And then all of a sudden this thing drops and he just, everything goes quiet and he just loses it. This is not the Blade Runner 2049 episode, but like I had like a religious experience watching that movie.
Jared, you look lonely.
I can fix that. I love that meme too.
That's so good.
Because that movie, like that scene sets up so much about him. Like, and he's in his lowest place when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's just the pornographic like commercial of his girlfriend.
Of his fake girlfriend.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Dude, have you ever held somebody hand in hand?
Have you ever held the hand of someone you love? Cells.
And
there's a reason it's in our fucking intro, dude.
Yeah. It's so good, dude.
We have to talk about Dune. Oh my God, I'm getting so excited.
But here's the thing. So like to counteract that frame of reference, you're saying that people say, "Oh, his dialogue's cold." I don't agree. I think that people are looking at Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
it's a movie about a fucking an android that has to watch his fucking emotions. Like, of course, the dialogue in that's going to be a little dry. And the same thing with the first Dune, at least.
Yeah,
it's the characters like Paul has no real like personality because I think his entire life, his dad and his mother are both building him up to be something.
Yeah, right. That's the whole thing. And so many people miss that. We'll get into this. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
The second film, it rebukes that claim. I think.
Yeah.
I do not think that the dialogue in that movie the second film is.
I want to say I'm presenting those arguments.
No, I
don't agree with them.
No, I definitely don't agree with them at all.
I can see they can. It's maybe the most valid criticism you can have of his movies, but I don't agree with it. Yeah. Because like Arrival also made me incredibly emotional. Prisoners.
Oh, yeah, he did do Arrival, didn't he?
Because I saw Arrival in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Back to back. And I realized like, oh, this is the same guy. And I was like, I love this guy.
Arrival is fantastic.
And I still haven't seen Sicario.
Dude,
we're gonna cover that.
Oh my god, yeah.
Do not spoil me.
It's so good.
But we're gonna cover it.
I remember texting you saying like, have you seen the second one? Because
Yeah.
it's like jingoistic as fuck.
I heard.
It's kind of crazy how like different.
We were talking cash grab earlier. That's a cash grab.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's right. He did do Prisoners. What a fantastic movie. This guy can't miss, can he?
I know. That's what I'm saying.
He can't miss.
He's my favorite living director, and I don't say that lightly. It
He's
was
very good.
Nolan, 20 years ago,
Yeah.
but it's not anymore, baby.
I feel you.
Not 20, 15 maybe.
Sure, yeah.
When was Dark Knight was 2008, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into
We're
this.
talking about Dune 1 and 2,
We're
baby.
talking about Dune. We're talking about Dune.
We're doing 2 movies. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing it again.
God, it was so good though.
I'm not
I'm so
doing
glad you
2
did that.
it again.
Okay. I've got 2 different sheets, one for each part.
Okay, cool.
But they're not very long. Oh
That's
my God.
fine.
I realize this one's front to back. I apologize.
It's okay.
It's
all right.
Most of this is trivia.
It's a
'cause
movie
there's so
podcast.
much. It's so good. Okay, so Dune Part 1
Yes.
was released October 22nd, 2021.
Mhm.
You might remember it. It's available to stream right now on Max. I think it always will be.
That's how I watched it.
yeah.
last night.
I own the 4K Blu-ray Steelbook.
Yeah.
Looked amazing
Oh, I
when I
bet.
popped it in the other night. Oh my God. The ensemble cast of Dune Part 1 includes Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Stephen McKinley Henderson. I think I mostly got that name right earlier.
You did, I think.
Zendaya, Chang Chen, Sharon Duncan Brewster, Charlotte Rampling, Jason Momoa, and Javier Bardem. Have you ever heard a better cast in a single movie?
I think the only
Oh my
person,
God.
I think the only person who can even pull it off is Scorsese.
Yeah, yeah. The only person that how did he do this, man? How did he get all of these people?
I will say, so Timothy was on the rise.
Exactly.
Zendaya was still like, I mean, she's
both
big,
of
but
them
she's not
were
that
probably a lot cheaper than they would be now. I agree.
big. Jason Momoa, maybe also.
Rebecca Ferguson, excuse me, completely overlooked. Okay.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She's amazing in what's the Shining sequel that I stan? Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
I actually really
She's
like
the
Dr.
mom?
Sleep. She's the
She's the villain.
Yes, she's Mr.
Yeah,
Hat.
She's fucking great in that too.
She is so good in that movie.
Yeah.
She's like a child killer.
Yeah.
And it's intense.
It is very
She's
intense.
so good. She's also amazing in the Mission Impossible movies, which I know you don't know. But she shows up in like
movies?
the last 3 or 4 of them.
Which movies?
Mission Impossible, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Her and Tom Cruise are really great together in those films. Oscar motherfucking Isaac.
The GOAT.
I mean, good
he's-
Lord.
A fantastic actor in anything that they give him to.
As Duke Atreides, man.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, have you seen a better beard on film ever?
Never.
Duke Atreides, your beard too good. Your bitch too bad. They'll kill you. That's a really common Twitter thing. Josh Brolin even has like a small role in this movie.
Another fantastic pickup.
Stellan Skarsgård,
Another
the fucking king.
coming off of Andor too.
Yes.
Right before.
Right before Andor. Yeah. But right before Andor.
Yeah, then Dune 2 comes out the same year. Andor did come out, so yeah.
We can't spend too much time on this, but Dave Bautista, Denis Villeneuve. Denny is the. I'm going to keep messing up his name.
You almost tried
Denny
it.
is like consistently the
Putting
best
Bautista.
director for Dave Bautista. And I
Yeah.
think Dave's even said it. He's like, he figures, he knows me. He just knows how to make me look good on film. And it's like, yeah, man, fucking Denny saw something in this guy and was like, I'm going to make him a great character actor. And he's fucking amazing.
I mean, dude, he's awesome as Rabba.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
From
he's
the way that
amazing as that android in Blade Runner too, with the little tiny
It's
glasses.
a shame that he doesn't get to be too much in that film.
I know, but
he is really
you
cool.
really feel for him when
Yeah.
his time comes in it too.
Yeah.
Stephen McKinley Henderson. I
Dude,
mean,
the
my
Navigator.
God, we love him.
He's great.
Zendaya, who honestly, I don't think I saw her in anything except Spider-Man before this, and I'm like, I'm on board.
I'm actually watching Euphoria right now.
Oh no, shit!
She's great.
That's what I hear. I don't think that show's for me, but
Dude,
my wife does love it.
She plays an amazing burnout. Like,
Oh, wow.
she's just like a person who does not give a single fuck.
You know, I wrote off Timothée Chalamet before this film.
How could you not?
And like, I remember walking out being like, I get it.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, like I was like, I went into this movie apprehensive about him.
Yeah.
And came out of it a fan.
Well,
I was like,
isn't
okay, that guy's good.
Isn't he the boyfriend in
yeah,
Lady Bird?
he's one of the shitty boyfriends in Lady Bird. Yeah.
And he plays a good shitty boyfriend.
Well, yeah, but like I went into it like John Mulaney has a joke about him, and he's like, "Who is this jerk?" Because his like wife has like a crush on him.
Oh, sure, because he's cute. He's
yeah,
like, a cute
but he's
little
like,
twink, yeah.
And John Mulaney probably has like competition because he's another scrawny white boy.
This is true. Yeah.
We got to move on.
I'm sorry.
No. Jason Momoa also amazing in this film. So many people like to dunk on his name.
He doesn't even like his name.
But like, what I don't understand why. Okay. And I'm not trying to call out like my friends. So if they hear this and get mad, like I'm not calling you out. This is a common criticism online.
Get mad.
That Duncan Idaho and Paul are like too basic and maybe like Midwestern of names to be in like a major sci-fi setting. And I disagree. Sure. Like I'm able to like overlook that because like fucking Star Wars, the guy's name is Luke. That's a biblical fucking name too, man.
Yeah.
It's Luke and Leia and okay, maybe those names aren't the super common, but Luke. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I think
I'm able to overlook that because it just doesn't really it doesn't feel obtuse to me, you know.
The way that I feel about it is that it roots the universe in reality, right?
Right, because that's the thing.
This is supposed to be our universe, but far in the future.
Right. And so many things, yeah, like you're saying, like there's like a matador like thing for the Atreides.
Paul's granddad was a matador.
Right.
I think it killed him.
And that's why I'm like, oh yeah, so anything like the word Idaho, like his surname being Idaho probably means that he has descendants from like the state of Idaho like 10,000 years ago. Like I can buy into that. It's not you're making this point better than I did. Thank you.
What I'm saying is it just there's so much that Warhammer 40K stole from this series.
Oh, right.
That
because these books were written in like the 50s, I think, or at least the first book was. Yeah.
It's very easy for me to understand what this universe is going for because Warhammer does the exact same thing, right?
And that's what's amazing too about this adaptation, this movie, is it's taking a very dense book and is like making it feel kind of fast paced and not like they're doing constant lore or info dumping.
Right.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. I tried reading the book years ago. Couldn't do it. It was too much of an info dump that I just bounced right off of it. I was like, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I will just accept the films and let those be my understanding of Dune, my context.
That's me, man. That's 100% me.
And even people who are fans of the books, I have heard nothing but praise of these movies specifically, not the 1984 David Lynch movie or the early 2000s sci-fi original miniseries.
I've got a buddy who lives in the Panhandle.
Right.
He's read the books.
Right.
He's seen the movie from the 70s, and he's seen these films. He loves these films.
Yeah.
These films are very good. I remember like he hit me up after he found out that I had seen them.
Yeah.
Because we were sending memes to each other.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, have you actually seen it? I'm like, yeah. And we talked for like hours about the film. He's another 40K player, by the way.
Right.
But like, yeah, that's from what I understand is if you like Dune as a universe, you're gonna love these fucking movies.
Yeah.
And they're great.
Well, I have so much more to say. Oh my God, I'm so glad we're doing this. Okay, the official synopsis, because I'm only there now. The official synopsis of Dune Part 1. A noble family becomes embroiled in a war for control over the galaxy's most valuable asset, while its heir becomes troubled by visions of a dark future. Pretty apt.
Yep.
So Dune is based on the novel by Frank Herbert, and the film is directed by Denis Villeneuve. I forget where I landed on that. The screenplay was written by John Spates, Denis, and Eric Roth. Denis, who is my favorite living director, as I mentioned earlier, is also the director of such films as Arrival, Prisoners, Sicario, and Blade Runner 2049. Also Enemy. Did you see Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh my God, no, I didn't.
Very
but I've heard about
movie. There's a really good, I'm not going to quote the tweet because it spoils the movie, but there's a really good tweet about like Trump trying to explain the movie to somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. Look that up if you want.
I'll have to.
So Dune Part 1 had a budget of $165 million and grossed a whopping $406 million at the box office.
Oh, damn.
And I feel like it is very important to mention that this movie was released on Max the same day it was put in theaters.
Which is how I watched it.
Did that.
Yep.
Because that's the fucking power of Dune. That's desert power, baby.
Dude, that is desert power. Oh, shit.
The film, despite being a complicated, rebooted sci-fi movie adaptation, overperformed all expectations critically and commercially. Dune Part 1 holds an 83% critic score and a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like that critic score was a little lower
Yeah,
than I
that's a
was
little
expecting.
harsh. I'm curious, like, what people had to say about it.
Part 2 eclipses it, though.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Part 2 is a perfect film. It's kind of crazy.
Reviewing the film for ABC News, film critic Peter Travers said of Dune, Denis' take on Frank Herbert's dauntingly complex novel can sputter and flirt with incoherence, but the director and his actors, led by an all-in Timothée Chalamet, find the pow and the poetry in this cornucopia of visual astonishments. Film critic Mark Kermode of The Observer wrote in his review, Denis' Dune sensibility tackles only one manageable section of the story, avoiding the baffling narrative compressions and ellipses that blighted Lynch's version, while reining in the extravagant excesses that thwarted Jodorowsky's. Do you know about that last thing, by the way?
Jodorowsky's. So I had heard that there was two Dune adaptations.
There are two existing ones.
Yes.
One is a sci-fi original miniseries that was
Right.
in the early 2000s. One is David Lynch's in 1984.
Okay.
David Lynch's film, this is important context for everybody listening to.
Yeah, okay.
David Lynch's film that came out in 1984 that stars Kyle MacLachlan
Yes.
of Twin Peaks fame.
Yes.
Originally started life as a film by, I forget his first name.
You've told me this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a movie one day I want to watch with you, Jodorowsky. I can't remember his first name. I'm so sorry. He's made some insane movies like El Topo.
Yeah.
And The Holy Mountain.
Yes.
That I watched in college when I was like very weird and avant-garde and was like, I'm going to broaden my mind, and like saw like Santa Sangre and El Topo in like a friend's basement and was like, I never want to fucking see these movies again. But anyway, so Jodorowsky had like a version of Dune that he was working on.
Right.
It got so over budget and insane
That they brought
there
that
was
guy in.
no way it was ever going to get made.
Yeah.
There is a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune that you can watch that is like just trying to interview people that were involved that were just like, here is what he wanted to do. It was never going to happen.
No, I
and he got
understand.
fired.
Yeah.
And then David Lynch was brought in to like
Fix it.
make something
Right.
at the last minute.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that. I don't know if it was on pod or off pod. But
It was probably in a real, off
Yeah.
pod. Yeah. So over on Letterboxd, user Demi Ajuibe, who is an amazing writer and comedian
Okay.
that I love, wrote of the film, crowd was dead silent for the entire film, except for when Stephen McKinley Henderson was on screen. Everybody lost their damn minds. Just absolute constant screaming, throwing shit at the screen, taking flash photos, whole theater on Beatlemania mode, large and loud boos the second he was off screen. I couldn't even hear the dialogue. I heard sniffling in the audience when Stephen McKinley Henderson's character offered his resignation, saw a father and son embracing in joy when Oscar Isaac turned it down. 3 rows started sway surfing when Henderson's eyes rolled in the back of his head. When his name came up in the credits, it was like we won the Super Bowl or some shit. I quietly asked my friends, Jesus, are these people in Stephen Henderson's family or something? And a guy in Stephen McKinley Henderson's sweatshirt scoffed and said, I fucking wish. I tried to join in on the fun by saying Lady Bird reunion when Chalamet hugged him, and a group of teens laughed at me and said, no shit, Deacon Yancey. I looked it up when I got home. That's the name of a Stephen McKinley Henderson character in 2 Spike Lee movies.
Wait, 2 of them, really?
Yeah.
Where'd you dig that one up from, Jared? How the fuck did you find that?
Listen, Demi is fucking hilarious. If you've ever seen a YouTube video on September 21st that is just like kind of weird but really funny, and it's a guy vibing to the Earth, Wind, and Fire song. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Demi makes those videos every year, although he had to stop.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's how he went viral for that.
Oh my God, I remember this.
He had to stop a few years ago though because it was taking over his life.
I remember this. Yes.
Yeah.
That's him?
That's him.
What a funny guy.
He's also a writer on like a lot of TV shows and
gotcha.
stuff now.
That's hilarious.
He's an amazing guy. It is never fully explained in the movie that the Mentats, including the Atreides, Thufir Hawat, Stephen McKinley Henderson's character, who I have
You're talking about
that.
the Navigators.
Yes, they're also called Navigators. And the Harkonnens, Peter D. Vries, played by David Dastmalchian, I'm so sorry to that man, are basically human supercomputers.
Yes.
Recognizable by the black mark on their lower lip. and author Frank Herbert's Dune universe, all advanced technology was banned over 10,000 years prior to the film, after tyrannical thinking machines, i.e. complex computers with artificial intelligence, had dominated and enslaved mankind for almost 900 years, until humanity defeated them over the course of a century in an event called the Butlerian Jihad. Afterwards, such machines were outlawed in the Imperium by a special commandment: "Thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind." And only simple logic circuits, sensors, robotics, and data storage and display devices based on new principles were allowed. This explains the abundance of low technology in the film, like conventional searchlights for defense, as well as old-fashioned analog displays. All complex tasks are done by mentats, and only spice-enhanced navigators of the Spacing Guild possess the complex knowledge to enable space travel. Other examples include the seemingly improbable failure of an advanced beam weapon, or lasgun, to hit Duncan Idaho's ornithopter, or Paul's inability to fly his ornithopter through a storm. These are due to a lack of advanced targeting and navigation systems. The first scene could also be a reference to the fact that hitting an energy shield with a laser can cause a spontaneous subatomic reaction that often destroys both the target and the lasgun, and by extension, its user. Lasguns are therefore better suited for blasting up debris into low-flying aircraft.
Jared, it is insane that the guy who wrote Dune did not sue Games Workshop.
Or his... when did Warhammer 40K originate? Because he died in the 80s.
Oh my god, they were waiting for him to die. Because the Rogue...
Well, his son has taken over the franchise and has written some more insane books in the series.
I believe that Rogue Trader, which is the first edition of Warhammer, came out in 84.
Yeah.
And Jared, when they did the quote unquote reboot in the 90s to make it more accessible, when I tell you that they stole that plot line. They fucking stole everything. So I'm so sorry to take us down this route, but we have
funny.
to.
And I mean, it's Debaser lore, so we have to.
It's true. So there are things called abominable intelligences in Warhammer 40K, which are AIs that did do the exact same thing. There was an AI uprising in Warhammer, and so that's why there's so many old pattern vehicles that are used that are they don't use grav technology very often. They don't do this, that, and the other. They use very simple computers that have to be awoken up by saying archaic old sayings computer boot up, and they think that's they're worshiping the machine spirit in there, because
to them it's some kind of religious spiritual ceremony, right?
Yes,
that they're doing, but they're really just doing spoken instructions, essentially.
Exactly, but all the tech is old because they do not trust AI. As far as using navigators to do warp travel, the reason why I even say navigators, because that's what it's called in Warhammer. I didn't know a mentat is
they're apparently different than the mentats in Dune.
Slightly different. So they don't have a lot of cybernetic enhancements. They don't have a supercomputer in their head. But what they can do is that they're psychic, so they can see how to navigate somebody through the
this is in Warhammer.
Warp. This is in Warhammer.
Okay, so in Dune they take spice to kind of have that ability.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So spice is a rare substance in Dune, whereas psychic links to the Empyrean is not that rare. In fact, 1,000 psychers have to be fed to the Emperor every single day in order to keep him from dying. So they're pretty fucking prominent, right?
Right.
It's just kind of crazy, because I remember the first time I saw this fucking movie, I was like, that's from Warhammer, they stole that. That's from Warhammer, they stole that. Even you telling me old lore that's explained in the books, they stole that. They stole that shit. It's crazy.
Allegedly. Again.
Allegedly.
I hope we don't have to testify in the Herbert v. Games Workshop.
It's so funny, man. It's so similar. It's crazy.
I know. I thought you would like that, but also I wanted to know that, because there's so much that's they didn't
have to explain it to me.
Right.
Because I knew.
You kind of get the idea the second he asks him a question. I don't even remember what the context was, but his eyes roll in the back of his head and he just comes up with an insane answer, and you're just oh, this is a super smart dude.
It's just when they were explaining how spice helps navigators go through space and navigate, things
right.
through space.
And they do a great job of just very matter of fact explaining why spice is important.
The moment that they said that, I was like, oh, these are just navigators from Warhammer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not like I'm so lucky that I'm fucking brain broken by this goddamn game and its fucking universe that I can understand Dune inherently.
Even me, someone who does not know Warhammer 40K. In
Yeah.
fact, you just told me some of that stuff recently.
I did, yeah.
Like when we were playing a Warhammer game.
Yes.
And you explained some of that to me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were playing Darktide. That's right. Yeah.
But and I went into Dune knowing nothing. I didn't even know what a sandworm was when I went into this Dune. Or I had zero idea. I'd seen like maybe still images of the David Lynch movie. Had no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And I got it. I got everything.
Yeah.
And like I've heard people be like, that movie's too complex. Or like there's even a lot of reviewers being like, what is happening? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
you were paying attention.
Dumb? Like,
you weren't paying attention.
Because Denis is so fucking good at showing.
Yeah.
Not telling.
Mm-hmm.
He will show you. And you will immediately understand something because he has methodically storyboarded out how a scene is going to go before he's ever lit up a camera. Because he is all about like, you are going to infer the information I'm trying to give you from the visuals alone.
Yes.
And like, there is not like a gigantic wall of text.
There's no text scroll from.
Do you know what opens this film?
If I'm not mistaken, it is Chani, which is Zendaya, kind of explaining.
No, even before this. It's before the Warner Brothers logo.
I cannot remember.
It's a throat singer saying dreams are scenes from the future or something. It's basically like a throat singer saying like dreams are visions of the future.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
Because the entire movie, like Paul is having dreams that are basically just future scenes of the movie.
But they're off. They're off.
They are a little off.
Yeah,
that's
off.
right.
All of them are off. It's kind of crazy.
Is it really him seeing the future or is it him guessing and thinking he's psychic?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
As far as I know, he is Lisan Al-Gaib.
Lisan Al-Gaib.
Yeah.
Adapting Dune for the big screen has been a lifelong dream of Denis ever since he learned about David Lynch's cult classic Dune from magazines, Fantastic Films, and Starlog. He read Frank Herbert's novel when he was around 12 years old, and he wanted to make a faithful adaptation.
Oh my God.
So he waited until he had completed both Arrival and Blade Runner 2049 first, so that he would have sufficient experience in the sci-fi genre before starting work on this film. In fact, scenes from his prior films are strongly influenced by his interpretations of the novel.
Interesting.
I listened to a fascinating interview with him on NPR's Fresh Air, and he just goes on and on and on about how huge of a Dune fan he was as a teenager. And
that's crazy, dude.
When he was asked what he felt about David Lynch's movie, he was very diplomatic and said, "It's very interesting, and I think it was a great interpretation, but it's not my interpretation." Essentially,
I mean, you could easily just say that there was no good movies before Jurassic Park. So.
Oh, right, that is the dividing line.
Yeah. So,
okay, I don't have a plot summary.
There's too much to talk about.
Exactly. We'd be here all fucking night.
Yeah.
This would be a 6-hour episode. I'm assuming you've already seen the film, and I'll to the listener.
Yeah, I hope that you paused the podcast and watched the fucking movie.
This film is stunning on so many levels.
It's so gorgeous, dude.
I mean, it won a lot of awards.
Oh yeah, what do you know what it won off the top of your head?
I know it won for its soundtrack. Okay, it won Best Visual Effects.
Duh.
Best Cinematography.
Okay.
Best Original Score. Best Production Design. Best Film Editing. Best Sound. And it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Costume Design, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Makeup and Hairstyling. I can't argue with any of that.
Oh, yeah. Who won that year, though? Seriously.
That's a good question. Oh, Coda.
Coda?
Coda.
What the fuck is Coda? I did not see that.
Ruby is the only hearing member of a deaf family from Gloucester, Massachusetts. At 17, she works mornings before school to help her parents and brother keeping their fishing business afloat. But in joining her high school's choir club, Ruby finds herself drawn to both her duet partner and her talent for singing.
Okay.
It's about a kid in a deaf family that learns how to sing.
I'm sure it's a great movie.
Yeah. Okay. So cutting all of that out.
Should have been Dune.
So the movie opens with the Atreides are being given Arrakis. The Emperor has decided that...
I believe it's the Harkonnens are leaving Arrakis.
Right. So Zendaya gives us a pretty quick intro, and she's like, we are the indigenous people of this planet Arrakis, formerly known as Dune. And the Harkonnens are a great house. And in this universe, there are great houses, which are basically like, instead of empires or corporations, like the great houses are like kind of like monarchies.
Yeah, there's like 12
dukes.
of them.
Actually, I think in the book there's like 147. But,
Oh my God. Okay.
yeah, it's insane.
Holy shit.
But the Harkonnens are in charge of Arrakis per decree of the Emperor.
Yes.
And Arrakis is very important because it is the only planet where they can harvest spice. And spice is a drug that it's like a secretion of the worms on the planet, the giant sandworms.
Yeah.
And spice allows people to see the future, essentially. And they use it to, as we were mentioning earlier, the ship navigators, in this universe need it to plot their courses for where they're going to end
Fly
up
the ships
when
and
they fly their ships. And I think it's when they do their warp speed stuff.
Interstellar travel.
Because they need to know where they're going to end up before they get there, so they don't
just
collide
like how
into something.
droids do it in Star Wars.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I didn't know
That's why
that.
you have an astromech.
That's why you always need an astromech. That's right. And an X-Wing and shit, because they're interstellar and shit, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's why this planet in particular is very important. It has a resource. Now, you may have already been making the parallel of what Frank Herbert was doing with his book. This is the Middle East.
Oh,
Spices,
100%.
oil.
Yeah.
The people of Arrakis are, Middle Easterners that were being exploited by the various
world powers.
Powers that be throughout the years.
Russians, and then the Atreides are Americans.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Oh wow, look at that! You know what's funny is I thought that these books were more about the Crusades.
I think there's that too. I don't think it's as a clear parallel as like this is what happened in the 40s and 50s.
Sure.
I do think it's a little bit of everything. Like it's Eastern versus Western.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's Crusades things happening there. There's all kinds of stuff happening.
Right.
There's even like Catholic Church influence, the Bene Gesserit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You name it. But essentially, the Harkonnen house is withdrawing from the planet per the Emperor's decree, even though they're really pissed off about it. And the Atreides, who are a very honorable and well-liked house, are being sent in to take over. And they are what's very important here is like, they are so well-liked and they are expected to be rising, in more and more favor and power that
Then the Harkonnens,
Emperor is jealous
Yes.
of them. Even though Duke Atreides, Oscar Isaac's character, is very close with the Emperor. As we learn, the Emperor is very obsessed with power and keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the Baron, is disgustingly like...
He's got like a spider person. He's like disgusting. Like
he's completely coded as evil, but he is also like...
He's sadistic.
But everything he does is like a naked attempt to like... keep and gain more power.
He's always doing power plays, yeah.
Right. Whereas Duke Atreides is more, concerned with honor, essentially.
Yeah. And also, I think like when they show up to give him Arrakis, he knows something's up.
Right. He is hesitant. He knows something's wrong and he's like, and awry. And he's like, they're setting us up for a trap. And he keeps pointing that out as he's being shown around the planet. He's like, this is a trap, but he thinks it's the Harkonnens are setting him up to fail when really it's everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So the Atreides land, they're being shown around the planet. They want to do the opposite of what the Harkonnens are doing. And instead of imposing their rule and enslaving or threatening the Fremen, who are the indigenous people of the planet, he wants to make inroads with them.
He wants to combine sky power and desert power.
I know. Yeah. It felt a little on the nose when he says it, but I'm like, no, this fucking rules, actually, when I watched it the second time.
It's fucking awesome, actually.
But he's basically just trying to make, he wants to negotiate with them. He wants to make peace.
There's no reason why they can't live in harmony. He wants to
He doesn't want to be at odds with them. He doesn't see the point in like being their new oppressors.
Yeah. He wants to enrich them even.
And like, I think there is an argument to be made that like, he's doing that diplomatically, like in a way to like, maybe he doesn't want to be at war because it would be more beneficial to him if he wasn't. Like maybe he's not doing it purely out of honor and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But like, I think at face value, like that is what's happening here.
Yeah.
And the Fremen, represented by Javier Bardem's character, is apprehensive but he seems to be like, okay,
Just don't come into our fucking Sieches.
Yeah. And that's where he draws the line. The Sieches being their like major cities where their people live.
Yeah.
And, he's like, okay, you can continue harvesting your spice. Just don't mess with us, And so they have made some inroads with them. And then overnight, they are attacked by the Harkonnen and the Emperor's troops,
The
these
Stadakauer,
who are like these elite. Like when they cut to their planet and show them getting ready for battle, it's fucking terrifying. They do such a good job at this.
Yeah, they're killing off the weak people and bathing the proud warriors in blood.
I didn't catch that the first time I saw this movie in theaters, and when I watched it on Blu-ray later, I'm like, oh my god, that's blood.
Yeah.
There's just dead bodies being sacrificed up top on the altars. And it's pouring down to everybody.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. So,
and that's what they're painting. The guy is walking around drawing on everyone's foreheads. Mm-hmm. There's a throat singer.
Yep.
He's
getting everybody ready to fucking go.
You really think you're looking at an alien planet of like the scariest motherfuckers that have ever existed, like getting ready to kill,
What's so cool about them, because once again, when I watch these movies, I watch them in the frame of, Warhammer 40K classes, right?
And this is like a very Warhammer scene.
That is no shit, dude. Those guys are like the Tempesta Scions, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Stormtroopers. The Stormtroopers come from a
God, do they really call them that?
They're called Tempestas.
Like I get that Star Wars does it too, but that's the actual Nazi soldiers.
The shorthand for them were Stormtroopers way back in the day, but when they had to like give everything a copyrightable name,
right.
They were named the Tempesta Scions.
Okay.
Right. And the whole thing about them is they're all orphans of the Imperium. Like they're just like their parents were either big war heroes and they obviously went off and died, so the orphans then go to this place called the Schola Progenium, or the school of what's the real term for Progenium? I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But it's all on the nose Latin. But anyways, these guys are like killing machines. They're when they're young, they're trained how to basically just do combat. They're literal like combat machines at the age of 12.
They're basically like Spartans in Halo, where they're like
they are
like bred as child soldiers until adulthood. Yeah.
Exactly, and they're given like the best equipment that money can buy. And the Stadakauer specifically are 100% loyal to the Emperor. That's the Emperor's personal army,
right? His yeah, exactly.
God, they're so fucking cool.
Yeah, but they are sent in overnight to Arrakis with the Harkonnen soldiers to like eliminate Atreides.
Yeah, they get three
army
battalions of
family. Yeah, and but they're able to infiltrate the planet
under the cover of night.
But also because the family doctor of the Atreides.
Oh, that's right. Turns off the radar, turns off the shields.
Yeah, exactly. And then even drugs the family. He drugs Oscar Isaac, his concubine, not his wife,
right?
Rebecca Ferguson, and he's supposed to drug. Oh no, he does drug Paul too. They all get drugged. Mm-hmm. So he does this because the Harkonnen like has his wife like kidnapped, but I think he's like slowly cutting off her limbs or something.
He's pulling her apart, but like they've got the technology to be able to pull somebody apart and not have them not die.
Right. And this is only explained; it's never shown.
But wouldn't it have been really cool if they showed it?
Yeah, I'm okay that they didn't. But
okay.
But he also implants a false tooth in Oscar Isaac's mouth, and he explains to him, he's like, "I'm so sorry I betrayed you, but listen, you're about to meet the Baron. I need you to like." You're going to have a face-to-face meeting with him. I've put a tooth in your mouth that if you crack it, it will release poison and it will kill everybody in the room, including you. But I figured you'd want this last chance.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Baron kills that guy.
He gets betrayed immediately.
Of course.
Who didn't see that shit coming?
But we see the Baron and he's just like, it is a little fat phobic. I'm okay with it because it's so grotesque.
Well, so nobody else in the Harkonnens look like that. I think it's supposed to be a visual representation.
As far as him being fat, but there is a lore reason why he's fat too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you kind of explained it.
I'm going to get into that a little later,
right? But I think the big thing is that he's so corrupt, right? It's not even like, oh, fat people are corrupt, right? It's not even that. It's the
also we see when he lands on Arrakis and is meeting Oscar Isaac, he's
floating around.
He's eating.
Yeah,
he's just like eating so sloppily and disgustingly
because he doesn't care.
Because I think he's the epitome of like every like cardinal sin, essentially. Too.
Yeah.
It's.
But I mean, like even when after he survives the assassination attempt, he's bathing in oil.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like a medicinal oil that's keeping him alive.
He's just corrupt. He's just as ugly on the inside as he's on the outside.
But visually, it's so apparent that he is the most evil, vile, disgusting being that's ever existed kind of thing, you know? And like they do a great job. I just hate that like he has to be fat.
But I mean, like, look at Fade and Rabba too. Rabba is like a unhinged killing machine, and Fade Rotha is sadistic.
Right.
They're not fat.
True. But they are pale and hairless, which, you know, I think
all the Harkonnens are pale and hairless.
And I understand, but I think they're using that as a shorthand to say, and we're getting into the weeds. This doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I'm not the person to be like speaking on this.
Okay.
But I think by making them pale and hairless, if I was also pale and hairless, I'm pretty pale, but like, like it's a little offensive because like,
okay,
it's not exactly making them otherworldly because like there are people in our world that look like that. And they're not like, that's not what makes a person evil.
Okay.
But I understand visually, how do you do something distinct without making it like seeming representative of someone in the real world?
Sure.
You know, it's a very delicate line to balance.
Yeah.
I don't know what the correct choice would be. And I regret even pointing it out now because like I don't have a better answer for it, but it does feel like, you know, it is worth pointing out. I'm not going to completely retract it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that I think about. You know?
I think the way that they went about it was perfectly fine. Like, because the Harkonnens just look alien.
They're trying to make them look alien. Yeah.
It's a good way to show a difference between these three different, even four different ways of life, right? You've got the Harkonnens, they're pale, they're hairless.
Yeah.
Gady Prime is like bathed in the light of a black sun. I understand this from the second movie.
I was going to say, we learned in the second film that they are from a planet with like a black sun.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't really have melanin in their skin.
Right.
And maybe even hair too is the thing.
So that's like, there's that. And then you contrast that with the Atreides who live on a planet very much like ours, basically like a futuristic New Zealand.
It looks like Scotland to me.
Okay, sure, yeah. And even the bagpipes. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And their uniform is very different and they look very different. And then you contrast that with the Fremen too, with the you know, they're all obviously like Middle Eastern coded, but the tech that they have is different. Their religion is different. And then you take that and you look at the Sardaukar or even the Emperor's like on whatever planet the Emperor is on, all of the how do you say, the societies feel different and feel alien from one another when you put them next to each other.
And I do think
I think that
the movie is doing an excellent job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we went down this.
It's okay. I think it
rabbit hole here.
It was worth talking about.
Yeah.
I think.
So
but the Harkonnens,
the Harkonnens have come in. They kill almost all of the Atreides overnight.
Yep.
Now, Paul and his mom are able to escape. Well, they are taken by a very specific group of Harkonnen. One of them is death, and that was intentional so that
they can use the voice.
Right. And we learned in the beginning of the movie, I skipped over this.
The voice is just the Force. You can just go.
Yeah. So Paul's mom has this ability called the voice, and it lets her control people. It's not exactly telepathy, because like I said, they literally have to speak it in order to like get people to do what they want them to do. And so by hiring a death guard, like it won't work on him. However, there's two other guards with him in the ship. And she is given a gag, but Paul is able to get it off. And so they're able to like...
Well, Paul's also able to use the voice, but he's just not very good at it.
He's not as good at it.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's been working on it. He's getting there. But they're able to escape the ship. It's a great scene. They crash in the desert and are able to hide out there for a while. The Baron, again, has like a one-on-one confrontation with Oscar Isaac's character, the Duke. And he's able to like whisper something to get the Baron to lean in. And then he cracks the tooth. Kills everybody in the room, but the Baron is able to hover up to the ceiling and just barely survives. But that's why he's in like this big oil tank for the rest of the two movies.
He's in his lane, bathed, moisturized,
just killing his little slaves. You know, God, that was horrifying in part 2 when you just hear the screams and they just close the door very quickly.
Part 2 fucking rules. Anyways, continue.
So Paul and his mom are hiding out in the desert.
There you go.
And then
the Dunk finds them.
Dunk in Idaho, who is like a really good friend of Paul's, but like a big soldier in the Atreides army.
I mean, when the Baron is discussing taking out the Atreides, or maybe it's Dalmatian's character. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, these guys were trained by Duncan Idaho and Gurnison. I can't remember his last name.
Josh Brolin's character.
Yeah, Josh Brolin's character. And it's like, that's supposed to be a big deal.
Yeah. They're like, these dudes are like fucking serious. And they're like, I don't care, kill them, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, the scene where Duncan Idaho gets an ornithopter and takes off and is able to like, he starts launching all the missiles and blows up as much of the like drop ships as he can.
Yeah.
Because it's fired at and he still is able to take off. And then he's able to like, later he finds Paul in the desert. And so they regroup and he's like, I'm so glad I found you guys. Like, let's get out of here. They meet up with the Fremen. Well, after a while, I'm skipping a lot.
Yeah,
I know.
the Fremen and the doctor lady who was clearly like helped kind of betray the Atreides in a way.
She's working for the Emperor.
Yes.
She knows basically what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And she's not allowed to
intervene.
Exactly. But she does after this. When she meets Paul later, she decides to help him because she starts because she is a Fremen, but the Fremen have been given this belief that was implanted by the prophecy that was planted by the Bene Gesserit like 10,000 years ago, or maybe 1,000 years ago, on this planet, that one day
an outworlder
will come down and will be their Messiah. Now,
Lisan al-Gaib. It's the Mahdi.
This is so important, and I feel like so many people miss this, but it's not hard to miss. It's clear as day watching the film, and it's so sad reading Twitter and realizing like media literacy is just gone.
Yeah,
but like it's clear as day that like that is the intention. The Bene Gesserit, which are I skipped over the part when they show up.
It's
test
okay.
Paul. There's so much to talk about.
There's a ton of
the Gom Jabbar. We didn't talk about the Gom Jabbar. Will
no, we didn't. I'm sorry.
Put your hand in the box.
What about the Kwisatz Haderach?
Right. We didn't even get to that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's okay.
So the Bene Gesserit are these manipulative, controlling religious sect of like witches.
Yeah.
Essentially, that are so powerful they even have control over the Emperor, essentially, we realize. And they have implanted this idea of a prophecy on Arrakis.
And it's not just Arrakis. They do this to a lot of planets.
No, they've done this in so many. Will we later learn that they've got angles on angles everywhere?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But
it is a twisted web.
It's very clear.
A madame web, if you will.
Their web and snares them all. It's apparently more obvious in the book that they have implanted this prophecy to purely help non-Fremen, like Outworld.
Yeah, whomever.
If they were to get stranded on the planet, to like get helped out by the Fremen so that they would trust them, you know? But what actually happens is Paul's mom manipulates it so that they see him as the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just strings being pulled the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. But anyway, so the doctor character that we were just talking about, she's starting to think like this guy could be the one. And this
could be Lisan al-Gaib.
But it's based entirely on the fact that like he bloused his boots correctly when he put on his like still suit for the first time when he goes out in the desert, which is so funny. Because she just like, she sees those. She's like, how did you know to blouse your boots like that? And he goes, it just made sense.
Oh.
No, he just like, it just seemed to make sense. And then she whispers like in Fremen, like, something from the prophecy about like he will know your ways without having been taught. And we get constant like little drops like that throughout the movie from different Fremen characters that are like, is he the one? He did something that like is mentioned in the prophecy and he doesn't know the prophecy.
No, yeah.
He's aware of it.
Yeah, but he doesn't know.
And he's
like,
constantly yelling at his mom. He's like,
he doesn't know
this is your people's doing.
Yeah, you got to stop this
I
shit.
am not the Messiah. They just think I am because I just happen to fit all these coincidences.
He's so humble. This is truly Lisan al-Gaib.
Yeah. It's so fucking good. There's so many ways to interpret it too.
Yeah.
Because like he rejects it all the way up until like almost the end of the second movie.
Yeah.
Until he thinks like fulfilling this is the only way I can actually like save this world essentially and get revenge. But
I got a different take, but okay.
Okay.
No, but we'll cover it.
I know
when too.
Yeah. We're jumping all over the place, so we might.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
There's so many ways to look at this,
as is foretold, Jared.
But there's so many ways to look at this because he's rejecting it. He knows it was a manipulative prophecy planted by his mother's like coven.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to fulfill it because he is afraid that it's going to lead to a holy war that will kill millions of people.
Because he keeps getting visions of it.
Spoiler alert, it does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, he is having visions. Now that he is out on Arrakis, like, naked, he's getting full doses of spice.
Yeah, that spice is up in every crevice.
And it's giving him, like, dreams and quote-unquote visions, which he interprets as, like, him seeing the future now.
Yeah.
Even though I think there's an interpretation to be made that he is not seeing the future.
He can't be.
He's just having
one of his
hallucinations.
One of his dreams is Jamis teaching him the ways of Arrakis. And
I kind of love that scene, though.
And he kills Jamis at the end of this movie.
I understand. See, okay, I think you're right, though. That leads credence to the idea that, like, it's not him seeing the future. It's him seeing what he wants to see.
Yes.
Yeah, because, okay, so when he meets up with the Fremen, they teach him how to, like, walk across the desert and not attract the worm.
Well, he learned that through books because he has to teach his mom.
Kind of, but it's not. They're not very good at it. They still end up attracting the worm.
Yeah. He doesn't learn how to sandwalk until the second movie, like correctly
to correctly do it. Right.
Yeah.
And very quickly, if you don't know what a sandworm is, it's these gigantic worms that live on Arrakis in the sand.
They're so cool.
Their excretions are spice. But they are massive creatures that could just swallow you whole, and you'd be a speck of dirt to them.
They're like godlike.
Right. They are worshipped by the Fremen.
Yeah.
But when you walk across the desert, if you walk with rhythm, you attract the worm.
Yes.
And if you've ever heard the Fatboy Slim song that Christopher Walken is in the music video for, where he's dancing, the entire chorus is "Walk without rhythm, so you don't attract the worm." It's a quoting Dune intentionally.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know.
I did not know that.
It's an amazing song, but you have to walk in like a very specific, weird way so that you're not in a pattern.
It is irregular, as if to just be
sounds
sand on the wind.
Yes, it's amazing. But it looks really silly whenever someone has to do it.
Yeah.
But so anyway, you do this to avoid the worm while you're walking across the desert. And the Fremen are excellent at it. Like, they are one with the desert, essentially.
Yeah.
They are the indigenous peoples. They know how to live with the desert and not, like, they know how to protect their body from dying in the sun. They know how to, like, prevent moisture from escaping their bodies.
They know how to even...
They hide in the sand.
Collect pieces left by the worms as weapons.
Right. Yes, the teeth that they sharpen into blades.
Yes.
Also, I saw a major thing that some people had problems with in the movie is that their still suits are too dark. Apparently in the books, they're much lighter so that they blend in as camouflage with the sand much more easily.
Sure.
The costume designer was like, we had to make them dark so that you would actually see them on the movie.
That makes sense.
They just had to make that.
It's fine.
But they also, importantly, in part 2, this makes way more sense too, because we see a lot more fighting. But the still suits that they wear also to battle are very light and airy and allow them to move faster and quicker. They're not very padded, whereas the Harkonnens armor is like the biggest fucking shit you've ever seen.
It's all personal protection,
right? And also they're like they're environmental protection as well as, like, battle armor.
They're not,
but it makes them useless on the planet.
Yep.
Yeah. And once they, like, walk out into that sandstorm, they're like, we got to get out of here. Like, we're going to fucking die either from exposure, let alone the fucking Fremen, like, attacking us, So it's really excellent seeing how, like, they're essentially like guerrilla fighters,
Yes.
Like, the Fremen are able to, like, use their environment because they've lived there for years.
Yeah,
they're the fucking people of the desert.
Perfectly adapted to it.
Desert power, baby.
Dude, desert power.
I'm all over the place.
You are over the place.
This is why I was so intimidated to do this episode, because there's so much to talk about. Anyway, Paul joins up with the Fremen, tells them, like, listen,
Duncan Idaho dies
protecting them. It's an amazing scene. He just refuses to go down. When he gets back up,
he pulls it
out. Pulls the dagger out of his chest and then just kills a few more guys before he really goes down. I'm just like, God, he fucking rules. I know why people love Duncan Idaho now.
He's badass. Anyway, sorry, yes. But after that, after a harrowing escape where he trusts the winds of the world to deliver him to safety.
Oh, that's right. He gets in an ornithopter, and while being chased by 2 other ornithopters, he flies into a sandstorm. And something in his mind tells him, like, just turn off turn the engine off.
You can't fight the storm. You must be one with the storm.
Yeah, and
He's not in a Jaeger, because when you're in a Jaeger, you can fight the hurricane. You can win.
yeah. Oh, God, I love that. But yeah, so the ship just like flies around in the sandstorm for like a long ass time.
And it shits him out the top.
Yeah, and they just end up on top, and he's able to like glide kind of gracefully, kind of not, into a crash, and gets picked up by Javier Bardem's group.
After sandwalking, but
right,
not very
with his
well.
mom. Having a run-in with a worm, but surviving because Javier Bardem's people like call it off.
Mhm.
And so Jamis is his name? Jamis
yeah.
is a member of this group of Fremen who is insulted by his presence. And he's like, Javier Bardem is like, oh, I've met him and his father. Like, they seem like nice people.
Yeah,
they
he's
can
chill.
join us. But Jamis is like, no, fuck this guy. Like, I'm offended by his presence here. Like, I don't want him joining us. He's like, I want to challenge him to a fight.
Well, he does.
Am I remembering the context of this right?
So, Stilgar says Paul can stay, but his mom has to go. His mom has to die.
That's right.
We have to collect her water because she's too weak.
Yeah.
And then
Because he says, like, Paul is young enough to learn our ways.
Yeah.
The mom isn't. She won't be able to survive out here.
Right.
Yeah.
But she pulls a 180 and it becomes a spider monkey and immediately disarms him and puts him in
Has him in a knife. Yeah. Chokehold. Yeah.
And Jamis uses this as our leader was beaten. So
That's right.
now I will invoke.
I can challenge.
Amtak, I do believe is what it's called, or MCOT.
Yeah.
Which is I can challenge your leadership because you have been shown to be weak, and our leaders cannot be weak. And it's not necessarily challenging Stilgar, but challenging his Paul's mom because she just defeated.
Right. So she's now seen as like, to use this, I hate that I'm using the shorthand, the alpha or whatever.
Yeah.
The more powerful.
And it's like, who's your champion? It was obvious it's Paul.
And Paul steps up clearly.
Yeah.
And but he's apprehensive about it. He's not ready for this. And then even Zendaya gives him a shard of the tooth.
She
of
gives him a
Shai
crisp
Hulud.
knife of Shai Hulud.
And
yes.
she's like, hey, this belonged to my grandmother. Like, I want you to have this. Because you could tell she's not sure what to make of Paul yet.
Yeah.
But Paul has like been seeing her in his dreams the whole movie. And he's like, that's my fucking bae right there.
Yeah.
And he hasn't told her yet.
Right.
He can't say it. He doesn't know how to say it yet.
But hold on, you're missing the end of that quote. She's like, it would be an honor for you to die holding it.
Yes. Yeah. Because she's like, there's no way you're going to survive. Like, Jamis is one of our best.
He's
kind of thing.
Amazing fighter, apparently.
Yeah. But they have, so Paul, who we see earlier in the film, is like training to fight in hand-to-hand combat or
Being
like
trained by
close quarters combat, what have you.
Yeah, he fights against Duncan on the regular. But
Duncan and Josh Brolin's character
Gurney.
like train him. So like some of the best people, like presumably in the universe, have taught him how to fight because they're like, one day you're going to need this, and here he is, and he's fighting Jamis, and this is kind of the climax of part one.
Yeah,
he keeps putting him in a defeat position.
Hold on, wait a second, you're missing. As Paul is giving him the knife salute, Jamis says,
"Oh my God, you're right. I skipped over it.
Knife, chip, and shatter."
That's right. And Paul takes that to heart.
Yep.
And it becomes perhaps the most important quote in these movies.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so glad you
good,
brought
man.
that back.
But yeah,
okay,
they're going
because it didn't even click with me until everyone started quoting it for part two.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Jimmy say that to Paul when I was rewatching part one, I was like, oh my God, he's just quoting the guy,
dude,
that his first man he's ever killed.
Yeah.
And so they're fighting. Paul keeps getting him at an advantage.
Yeah.
And saying,
yield.
Do you yield?
Yeah.
And the Fremen are upset at this. And Stilgar, Javier Bardem's character, goes, what is he doing? Why is he toying with him?
Yeah, why is he toying with him?
And his mom goes, he's never killed before. And they're like, oh no. And they all realize like what's actually happening here is like Paul is the better fighter, but he's not willing to kill him.
Yep.
He doesn't think it needs to come to that. Whereas Jamis is like, no, it's do or die.
You're
We're gonna
insulting my honor.
die.
And if you keep showing me weakness,
exactly.
If you show the desert weakness, you will die.
It's heartbreaking. There's so much happening. It's so good. Oh my God.
That's great.
But yeah, Paul's able to beat him and he takes his life.
And that's Dune 1, baby.
It's rough, man.
It is rough.
Paul's clearly upset about it.
Yeah, he's shaking.
That really is the end of the movie, though, is him, everyone takes a moment and bows and they wrap up Jamis's body
Yeah, they have to preserve his moisture.
Right. But it's also their way of giving him a proper burial, too.
Yeah, because
they take him back to the siege, essentially, is the plan.
We more or less are walking right into Dune 2, but before we do that...
Yeah, Dune 2 picks up almost moments after this.
Is there anything else you want to say about this first one?
I will probably think of more later, but not at the moment.
The only thing I want to say is after watching this film again last night, with the hindsight of seeing Dune 2, it is amazing how many breadcrumbs are in this film that are leading up to the second film.
And pay off so well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's jump right into
Yeah, let's go, dude. We're doing two reviews at once.
All right. Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 was released March 1st, 2024. It is still in theaters. It is not streaming. If you have not seen it, this is a fully throated endorsement from both of us.
Turn off the podcast. Go see it.
Watch Part 1 on Max if you haven't, and then go to the theaters and see 2. I even really found a way to get myself to the theater to see this. I straight up told my wife, I'm like, listen, I'm going to sneak out of the house Sunday morning and see a matinee showing of this.
I'm so glad you did, because I saw this opening night.
Yeah.
Me and Haley got a sitter, and I told my mom, hey, this movie's going to be long as fuck. Thank you so much for watching our son. This is the movie of the year.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. Yeah. It's so hard seeing movies when you have kids.
I know.
God. So Dune Part 2's cast features Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, Charlotte Rampling, and Javier Bardem, all reprising their roles from the first film, and with Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken, and Léa Seydoux joining the cast. Oh my God.
Once again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, right?
The official synopsis of Part 2 is Paul Atreides unites with Chani and the Fremen while seeking revenge against the conspirators who destroyed his family.
Yep.
Dune is based on the novel by Frank Herbert, obviously, and the film is, again, directed by Denis. The screenplay for Part 2 was written by just John Spates and Denis.
I was curious if the other two were still, or the other one guy, sorry.
One guy dropped off. I forgot his name, but there was a different guy that was involved in Part 1 that apparently didn't write the screenplay for this one.
Okay.
Dune Part 2 had a budget of $190 million.
Okay.
So I think that's $50 million-ish more than the first one.
Yeah.
And at press time has grossed that's not a typo, $627 million at the box office.
God, I didn't realize that. Holy shit, dude.
Despite all odds, Dune has done it again.
Holy fuck.
Dune Part 2 holds a 93% critic score and a 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
All earned. Both this film is, in my opinion, fucking flawless. I could endlessly rewatch this movie.
I love how close these scores are and how high these scores are.
Yeah, same.
It's incredible. Reviewing the film for Time Out, film critic Philip de Semlin, I hope that's how you pronounce your name, man. I'm so sorry, said of Dune Part 2, as a sequel, it works for the same reasons that make The Empire Strikes Back so many people's favorite Star Wars film. There's a darkness, a bleakness, that makes the fist-pumping moments feel all the more earned. Over on Letterboxd, user Connor Eats Pants reviewed Dune Part 2, saying, I have seen the light of Islam. Also on Letterboxd, user Chase said of Dune, if the Fremen never give up their water, how do they come? Got a twofer for Dune 2, baby.
Oh my God, dude. He's doing two fucking jokes at the same time. Oh my God. What a amazing, but on the real though, that has got to be like a true act of love, right? When you really think about like how much
important moisture is on Arrakis.
We glazed over it, but when Stilgar meets, Duke Atreides for the first time, he spits on the fucking ground, and that is like a shine of respect because he's
and they
wasting
all
his
kind of go,
moisture.
"What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And he's like, and Duncan Idaho has to be like, hold on. That's him showing respect here.
Yeah.
And then
So-
he spits on his spit.
So these people do not fucking masturbate at all, and if they choose to partner with somebody, it means something. I think.
I did see a tweet. I remember that was something like, "Do you think the rest of the Fremen thought it was really rude when like Paul and Chani, snuck off to have sex, that they were like sharing their moisture with each other?"
Hilarious.
So I have some really what I think are fascinating tidbits. There are some major spoilers, of course, for both the book and the movies.
Yeah.
So in part 1, Baron Harkonnen calls Duke Leto cousin.
That's right.
Implying that they are family. And this is way before we find out some stuff. So in the expanded universe of Dune, and partially revealed later in part 2, as part of the Bene Gesserit plan to beget the Kwisatz Haderach. Yay, okay. The Reverend Mother requests a child from Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. What he does is he brutally rapes her and impregnates her. The child that results from this was Lady Jessica, who later became Paul Atreides' mother, making Paul the Baron's grandson. Furthermore, after the rape, the Reverend Mother infected the Baron with a disease that causes his extreme obesity. As a result, the Baron can no longer walk and has to resort to a system of floating devices, which are implanted in his spine and glow red when he activates them.
It's like a swim bladder for a manatee.
Yeah. Stephen McKinley Henderson and Tim Blake Nelson filmed scenes for the film as Thufir Hawat and Count Casimir Fenrig, respectively. Both were ultimately cut entirely from the finished film, but received a special thanks in the ending credits. Yeah, people were devastated to learn
I was not happy about that.
While there were many deleted scenes and even entire characters, as I mentioned, cut from the final film, the director Denis said he will not release any deleted scenes, explaining, "I'm a strong believer that when it's not in the movie, it's dead. I kill my darlings, and it's painful for me." Imagine I have a French-Canadian accent that's very cute when I'm saying
Jerry,
this.
can you imagine him and what's his fucking name?
Zack Snyder.
Yeah, in the
Complete
same room.
opposites.
In the same
in
room with
every
each other.
way.
Yeah, I know, right? And that kind of, I want to, oh, dude, I would pay a lot of money.
I don't know if I can agree with this because I want the full, like, I want a Blu-ray with like 6 hours of bonus footage.
Yeah, of course.
But like, he's clearly the better director than
100%.
those kinds of guys that do that sort of thing. And I'm just like, maybe he's
got
right.
a point, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the rest of the quote. "Sometimes I remove shots and I say, I cannot believe I'm cutting this out. I feel like a samurai opening my gut. It's painful. So I cannot go back after that and create a Frankenstein and try to reanimate things that I killed. It's too painful. When it's dead, and it's dead for a reason. But yes, it is a painful project, but it is my job. The movie prevails. I'm very, I think, sincere in the editing room. I'm not thinking about my ego. I'm thinking about the movie." I love this guy. I watched the interview that this quote is from.
Yeah.
And like, he's not reading a prepared statement. Like, he's saying this like on the fly.
How he feels, yes.
God, he's so good. Like, even just the images he evokes in explaining this are amazing. I feel like a samurai opening my gut. Like, what a sentence, man. to compare like cutting scenes from your movie akin to like Harikari, you know? Yeah. In the original novel, Baron Harkonnen is killed by Paul's little sister, Alia, who is not yet born in this film.
Yeah.
She kills him with the Atreides Gom Jabbar. Now, at the time, she was about 4 years old and was already a fully aware Reverend Mother. Just before his death, Alia reveals to him that she is his granddaughter and says, "I'm sorry, grandfather, you've met with the Atreides Gom Jabbar." However, in the movie, Paul kills the Baron, saying, "You die like an animal, grandfather."
I like this. I don't know. I like the change.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the change.
Yeah.
I just, when I learned about it, though, I was like,
what the fuck? Yeah.
I gasped because I was like, oh, so his sister is born. Because she's in utero the entire movie.
And
that's not how it is in the book.
Yeah.
She does speak telepathically to everybody, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, in the David Lynch movie, there's just like a toddler wandering around talking like an adult.
That's fucking rad, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, no, never mind. I'm in the wrong. Put the toddler in the movie.
Well, that's why I'm so excited for Dune Messiah, but like if they do the actual time jump for the third movie that the books do,
They have to.
she's going to be a teenager instead of a 4-year-old or something.
She's
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, that's right. We do. Oh, you're right.
You get a glimpse
That's
of her.
right.
Yeah.
We do get a glimpse of her. She's uncredited too. Yeah.
Really?
She's not in the credits. Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
So I can't pronounce Austin Butler's character's name.
Fade Rotha.
Fade Rotha. It sounds easier than it
Fade
looks.
Rotha.
Okay. Fade Rotha's fight on Getty Prime is seen in black and white infrared color palette.
Oh my God.
Apparently,
It made me come, dude. I'm dead.
it's an insane scene.
I'm fucking dead serious.
This is apparently induced by a black sun on the planet that orbits around the planet. This is the first time the Getty sun is ever shown on film in a Dune adaptation.
Yeah. And
Because it was probably unfilmable before.
It rules, dude. Let me tell you,
Yeah, it's like a gladiator scene that we see. It's
every
amazing.
single scene that has Austin Butler in it is fucking great.
And when he was casting this film, I think everyone was kind of snickering, going, "Okay, buddy."
Well, I mean, even me for a brief moment there, because you like as I've told
the
you
Elvis
previously,
thing,
you told me
like,
about the
haunts
Elvis
him.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I'm very curious if he's going to have some stupid fucking accent. And not only does he not have a stupid fucking accent, but he is killing it. He is chewing the scenery. He is
I
embodying.
mean, he does have an accent,
yeah, but it's not. It's
but
not
he's
the Elvis.
he's
accent.
like perfectly emulating his character's father.
Yeah, this man's a fucking
Stellan
chameleon.
Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Will, I thought his lines were ADR'd. They sounded
Oh, I know. You
too
told me
much
that.
like Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and no, he apparently actually mastered his accent.
Dude, he's actually really good.
I
Austin
know-
Butler's actually a fucking fantastic.
So Dune
actor.
1 turned me around on Timothy Chalamet. Dune 2 has turned me around on Austin Butler. I'm like, maybe this guy can do anything, and I love him.
I remember I saw the movie. I went to Kentucky. I came back.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit, and you were like, "So how was Austin Butler?" And I was like, "Dude, he was the best part of the movie." And you're like, "Really?"
I thought you were joking.
You thought I was joking, but it turned out I was right.
And like, he's not my favorite part of the movie, but
He's
like,
my
I
favorite
see
part of
why
the
you
movie.
think that.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
not
really
going to
good.
argue with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed
God,
it. And it's rest in peace, a fucking real one, dude.
Yeah.
He was so good.
Anya Taylor-Joy has a brief uncredited cameo as an
we
adult
said,
Aaliyah. Paul Atreides' little sister in a flash forward during one of his visions. Aaliyah is a fan favorite from the original Dune novel, where she is born during Paul and Jessica's 2-year stay with the Fremen. Although she is a toddler, she has the mind of an adult due to Jessica's drinking of the water of life.
You mean
Or-
that fucking Shai Halisi,
Yeah, the blood of
the worm,
the worm.
the worm squirt?
However, Denis shortened the 2-year period from the book to several months in the film so that Aaliyah is almost exclusively depicted as a voice calling to Jessica from her womb and remains unborn at the end of the movie. Completely omitted from the book is Paul and Chani's infant son Leto, named after Paul's father, who was also born during that 2-year period,
Oh,
but killed during the final battle of the Arakim when the Sardaukar attacked the Fremen Siege, where they had hidden him.
oh shit! That would
I
have been a
know.
little too much.
I know. Number one, I see why they cut it for time reasons.
Yeah,
This movie couldn't take place over a period of years
yeah.
for a few reasons. They want to age everybody up and blah, blah, blah,
Right,
blah,
right,
blah.
right.
But man, that
That would have been rough.
That's,
Yeah.
and I like it though. Like, I can understand why that happening in the book makes it a lot more impactful.
Yeah, yeah. He's really driven by revenge at that point in time, I assume.
Yeah. And he rises through the ranks of the Fremen a little too fast.
Well, he's Lisan al-Gaib.
But I know. But yeah, it's thinking about that. Like, it makes the attack on the siege is like
that much
more
worse.
powerful.
Yeah.
Like, oh man,
I still felt like awful. Anyways,
it is rough, and it's
because-
why like he decides to go. I don't want to do this. I'm not going south. We just have to keep fighting from here. And then the attacks happen, and he goes, "Okay, I'm Lisan al-Gaib.
Yep.
Let's fucking
do it.
launch the nukes.
Yeah.
Let's do it."
Let's go.
I mean, my God.
I think it's a testament to Denis' ability to do world building,
Mhm.
right? Because the first 20 minutes of the movie is them taking all the moisture out of Jamis's body and then returning it to this beautiful lake of water in the middle of this.
It's like a well where all of the water from all of their dead people go.
Yeah.
And it's not taken from to feed the people.
No, yeah,
It's so important and holy that they cannot touch it.
exactly.
And when Stilgar explains this to Rebecca, Lady Jessica,
Jessica, yes.
she starts crying. She's like, this is so like beautiful.
Yeah.
And he like wipes her tear and he's like, don't even waste your water for the dead. Like,
Exactly.
oh my God, this movie, man.
It is just so cool to like, okay, let's have an idea. How do we like create a society that lives in a desert? Like what would their beliefs be? How would their, society look like? All this other stuff.
What would
and
be
like,
sacred to them?
and water, obviously it's moisture.
Yeah,
It's so like fucking simple. I didn't even think of it. And then to watch that location get absolutely fucked up, and the well being lost to destruction, it hurts. It's impactful.
Yeah, and you understand why they're willing to go to fucking war for this little white boy that's wandered into their camp, almost overnight.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Listen, I will lead you to victory." And kill these fuckers. And they're all like, okay, yeah, you got it, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, he is the Mahdi, he's the Modib.
Yep.
He's Lisan Al-Gaib.
He's Lisan Al-Gaib. And director Denis included a salute to David Lynch in the film, who is the director of the 1984 adaptation of Dune. At the start of Lynch's Blue Velvet, Kyle MacLachlan finds a severed human ear crawling with ants. Towards the end of Dune Part 2, when the screen shows the dead body of Stellan Skarsgård, the camera zooms in on his ear, which is likewise crawling with ants. I remember thinking,
that's cool.
What is going on in this scene? This is very arty, and I don't really understand what it's portraying, Right. And, but when I read this, I was like, oh my God, of course. And I've seen that part of Blue Velvet. And I feel like I should have made that connection, but it was so long ago I forgot totally until I read that.
What's the back part?
That was the back part.
Oh, that was the back part.
The trivia was on the back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the front.
Cool.
We have so much more to say.
What a movie!
Holy shit! What a movie. So there's sandworm writing. That was amazing.
Did you see Steven Spielberg was like,
love with it.
This was like the peak of cinema and shit,
Yeah.
And he ends up hooking Shai Hulud, of course. So that's Lisan Al-Gaib, dude. He will ride Shai Hulud.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got sandworm stuff. We've got like a lot of action. There's so much fighting in this. It's kind of unreal. We get to really see what the Fremen ambush tactics are really about.
Yeah.
How they wage war, how they do, lightning strikes.
Yeah.
We also get to see a lot more of Harkonnens, how they handle themselves.
Yes.
They
redesigned their suits in this one.
I saw that, yeah.
But I do like it.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying. When you first see them like kind of wandering around the desert, and when they just kind of levitate, and float to get to the top of that rock, I'm like, this is so otherworldly. Like it's clear as day how they did this with like tons of wire work, but it just looks ethereal. Like it looks otherworldly. And like I'm fully bought into the sci-fi world now. It's so fucking good.
When the procession of the Emperor's servants come to serve Leto Atreides with the deed for Arrakis.
Right, how part 1 opens. Yeah.
All of those people wearing the weird helmets.
There's so much weird shit happening that
it's
you're
cool
like,
as fuck.
It's like, so much to take in, but it's beautiful, and you're just like, give me all of this you got,
and
man.
So, and they keep doing it. Like obviously with the suits the Harkonnens wear, Gady Prime, another like perfect
there's
example.
so much happening. There's the guards in the Colosseum that look like fucking demons.
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on there?
Fireworks, which is like liquid being
it's
set
like,
off.
It's like blood milk.
Yeah, it's fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, we get it twice too in 2 different scenes.
Yeah.
Later, there's like a noir happening when Leia Sedo's character is like luring Austin Butler, Fade Rotha's character, and what she eventually does is like manipulate him into impregnating her, so that the Bene Gesserit now has like another fucking usurper ready to go.
Yeah,
it's just because they're playing all angles.
Well, it's not even that. My God, because they were like, well, we could just do Lisan Al-Gaib with Fade Rotha instead.
Right.
But also, the Messiah can be literally anybody.
But also they are manipulating Fade into replacing Rotha. Robin, because they're like, well, this is like, he would be the greatest threat to Paul, and if we don't have, if we are not in control of Paul, we need to be in control of someone who will kill him.
Right.
But then, like at the end, after Paul's won and everything, and Lady Jessica like telepathically says to the Reverend Mother, like, you chose the wrong side. And
Yeah,
she's
get
like,
fucked.
who says anything about sides?
Yeah.
And she's like, we're manipulating this from all angles. God, it's so.
Lady Jessica really
so
thought she
greasy.
had it, dude. She
Yeah.
really thought she had it, but I'm very curious how things are gonna
Yeah.
play out in the next one. What's up?
Okay. Is it ever said in the film? Do you know the "fear is the mind killer" quote?
Oh, dude, I can't remember.
They do say it in the movies.
They
though?
say it in the first one. It's the mantra that I think Lady Jessica says to herself.
Okay, that's
certain
right.
point,
She
yeah.
says it when the Reverend Mother first shows up and puts Paul at the test and
yes.
gives him the Gom Jabbar. Okay, so it's very important in the novels. And the full quote is, "I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain." This is a, I used to think that was some cool shit to say to a motherfucker before I shot them. To quote.
To quote who? Oh, okay.
Because he's furious anger. Yeah. It is just a phrase that they have to overcome their fear. And you know what it is now? Even though it was written in like a cool sci-fi book 70 years ago.
Sure.
It is the perfect memento to remember to overcome anxiety.
Okay. Yeah.
It is just saying you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Like, you just got to get over this.
You get it.
It's in your mind.
Yeah.
It is the mind killer.
Yeah.
Like, it's so beautiful in its prose. It's so good.
It is very good.
Lady Jessica, when she is going full,
what do they
you must
call
worship my son. What is it when she's like prophetizing
I can't remember
her son?
the term that they were giving her, but she more or less like became she somehow became the head lady of the fucking
of the Fremen. Yeah,
of the Fremen.
When she goes all in on like being the prophet of the Fremen, she starts writing script
on
over her face.
Yeah,
it's this.
Oh my
it's the
fucking
fear
god!
script.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
God, I love it so much. I love that quote. I think about it all the time. I think it's much more important in the David Lynch film.
Sure.
But it's so good. I think about it all the time. And it's quoted constantly in like music and other books and stuff. It's an amazing quote. I love it. I don't really see the point of doing like a blow by blow.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. But
the film,
they're just like little things that you liked. Like the little things that I liked was that when Paul gets his desert name, his Fremen name, and he chooses the little desert mouse.
He's like, what do you call the little mouse creature?
It's Wadib.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And did you remember that in the first film when he's learning about the plants on the desert because he had just learned about the palm trees that are in the courtyard, there's a little mouse in with all the plants in the hologram. There's a little mouse.
In the hologram, yeah.
Yes.
And also when him and his mom, Lady Jessica, are out in the desert hiding.
Mouse on top of them.
The mouse is on top of their tent.
Yeah.
And you get a really good close-up of the mouse and how like it kind of sweats on its ears and then it drinks that sweat, know? And so we're kind of like, but this is how the animals of the environment like survive, and it's an amazing. And because he takes it to be, like he chooses that name to be modest,
humble
even. And Stilgar just uses it as another example of like,
look how humble
he is one of us, like he is being humble, but also he is choosing a creature that is perfectly adapted to this environment, and survives and thrives.
Lisan al-Gaib.
It's so wonderful because like he keeps trying not to fulfill the prophecy,
right? And
in doing so, further fulfills the prophecy.
It's true. Yes.
There are people out there that have no media literacy that see this film as
white savior.
Yes, as a white savior movie.
Okay, I'm so glad
that is the fucking point.
I'm so glad that we're getting to this part because
we have to talk about this. It's all I could think about.
You mentioned that like he keeps his distance from the prophecy. Until,
right, he doesn't want to be the Messiah. He knows it was all implanted by the Bene Gesserit.
And then you said that there's a turning point where he's like, okay, let's go all in because not only do I want my revenge, but these people deserve their revenge too. Right?
Is it this after the Sietches are destroyed when he goes to the meeting and just starts big dogging it?
Well, he drinks the blue juice.
Oh, it's after the blue juice.
It's after the blue juice. So do you think that is a heroic act in that he is in a sense a white savior, or do you think that there's more to it than that? Because I have my own opinion, but I'm very curious. So how do you see it? Because I'll tell you how I see it after you're done.
From how it's portrayed in the film and how I've only seen it once. I haven't had the benefit of watching it again at home, like part one. My interpretation is he is doing this is a deconstruction of the hero's journey.
Sure.
And he is refusing the call so much of this film. He's like, he is happy to like join in on the war and attack the Harkonnen, but he doesn't want to become the Lisan Algae. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to go south and trigger a holy war. And so he's refusing the call essentially, right? Because he thinks it's going to lead to, well, he's afraid it's going to lead to further death and destruction. Yeah. For no good, for no gain. And, but then once things escalate so quickly, which he sees coming, yes and no, he doesn't see the Sietches being destroyed, right?
Right.
That's the thing.
Because I believe that
he doesn't see that happening.
He gets lured out to go do something, and in doing so, he leaves the Sietches unprotected. Yeah. And then they didn't think that because I believe it's the Sadokars that are sent there. Yeah. He didn't believe that they would be so bold as to attack that area. I think also somebody like tracked them, like followed them there, and kind of figured out that's where they're at, because
I forget how exactly it happens, but I think even Fayed is like, oh, let's just attack these rock formations. Like, I bet there's something in there. Yeah. Right. And because he's doing the complete opposite of like what Rabin was doing.
Jared, it's been a whole month since I've seen it. So I'm sorry.
It's been a couple of weeks for me. Yeah. But yeah, again, I haven't had the benefit of rewatching it again at home. But my interpretation is like, this is a deconstruction of the hero's journey and like the white savior complex. Like the Messiah, like the Lisan al-Gaib prophecy that's instilled in these people in the Fremen. Yeah. Is itself a white savior complex for the benefit of any Outlanders that we were saying that land on the planet, and like they can use it to their advantage to shore up support and get back off world. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it becomes the catalyst for a holy war, as we realize by the end of the film. Yeah. Because after he is able to usurp the emperor, and the other great houses refuse his ascendancy, they all start loading up on ships and going to space to go to war.
Show them paradise.
Oh my God.
Show them paradise.
He does, yeah.
Jared, my interpretation is Paul is not a white savior. He's the fucking villain, dude.
No, I agree. I agree.
Okay. You do feel that way. Because like I think his whole personality changes after he takes the blue juice. I think that like at that point in time, he says that he can see multiple realities, right? And he can only see one where he survives. And so as
or where they succeed, I think is how he phrases it. Yeah.
And so in order to fulfill that, the best outcome is
he has to go whole hog. He has to go whole Lisan al-Gaib.
Exactly. And at that point in time, it is of a selfish nature that he is embracing this thing. And then he's using these people as puppets. I mean, like,
absolutely.
You look at him choosing Florence Pugh over Chani, which was also a hinted at thing in the first movie. Because remember, he calls it, he says, the emperor wants to cling on to power, but he has no sons. I can use that in order to usurp him, essentially. Yeah. He says it to Dr. Kynes before Duncan dies. Do you remember that scene?
No,
but he calls it. He calls it. He's like, he's got no sons. He's only got daughters. Yeah. So easy peasy, I'll marry one of his daughters. And
I do remember this now. Okay, and it's in that circular room before they get attacked. Bingo. Yeah. Okay.
Thing. So, anyways, like he's got the fundamentals, as he calls us, the fundamentalists. He's got him like a 100% on his end, and he's outmaneuvered the emperor and is doing his original plan. Mm-hmm. And like he just doesn't give a fuck. He gives single fucks. He only sees a world in which he can achieve vengeance and also manipulate events in order to make sure that at the end of the day he is the one that is standing. Right. And fuck these people.
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people are tools now, and I can only see him as a villain, and I'm so excited to see like what else happens.
No, I think that is the point. And my understanding is that the third movie, apparently it's being worked on.
Yeah.
But it's the second book. It's called Dune Messiah. It picks up 12 years later, and it is after 12 years of a holy war, essentially, that's been raged across the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people have died. And Paul is reflecting and thinking, what have I done? I fucked up so bad. I can't believe I did this. It's like him coming to terms with all of his regret about all the evil that he's done, like all the death and destruction and despair he's caused.
That is wrought purely because of vengeance.
Yeah. I don't know too much more than that because I didn't want to get super spoiled, but
Sure.
like people are excited for Denis to do a third film because it's going to be, it'll like, it's because
It's gonna
the first two
fucking rule.
movies kind of feel like your typical hero's journey, like Star Wars bullshit.
Yeah.
But in the end, it all turns out to be a parable of like, corruption, power, prophecy, what have you, even a corrupted white savior story, because I think this is I'm saying white savior thing, but it is showing how it's used for ill. It's not just doing the tropes of a white savior thing. It is showing like this is someone manipulating that and using it for harm in like a really fucked up way. Because like on its face, if you have no media literacy, like if you don't understand what the film is actually saying, it doesn't. It seems
doesn't
like
look malicious
look at
at
this
all.
guy getting revenge for his dad.
Hey, look at this. He's good.
And like,
Good for him.
fucking read a fucking book. God damn it, like, or watch
Right.
more films at least so that you can understand this sort of thing. This is why people get mad about schools being like, oh, well, I've harped on this in many episodes ago, but people used to complain about like, oh, well, English teachers will have you read a book and say, well, the author said that the walls of the room were blue. And they'll ask the students like, what do you think that means? What do you think the author's trying to say?
Sure.
And the joke is that like, well, the teacher says like, well, the walls are blue because the author wants you to interpret that this room is calming or serene, and the author was like, oh, I just wrote that the walls are blue because the walls were blue in my mind when I thought of this room. And there was no interpretation to be made there. That is a dullard made that joke about having a lack of media literacy to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just something that's not really taught anymore. It's like completely fallen out of favor in society.
Yeah, I understand.
Granted, we're becoming, God, I can't tell you how many conversations I've overheard at work of my coworkers talking shit about public school teachers and how they're just trying to infuse people with like
that woke ideology.
Yeah, wokeness and shit. And like, well, look what we found out the teachers were trying to teach these kids, and that's why they had to outlaw it, and yeah, we can't even go down this road. This is the Dune episode, not the
I can't wait until we do create AI and then we get into like a 1,000-year war with the AI overlords, and then we just get blasted to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Lord, bring us to it. Who was our Lisa Nalgib?
Yeah, where's Lisa Nalgib now? Dude, where's the quiz?
Where's our John
Connor? Another thing that I really enjoyed was how action-packed this fucking movie was. God damn it. It was so cool to watch Timothée Chalamet's stunt double just flip around and spin around and all sorts of cool shit. Did you know that Austin Butler trained in Secundus?
Yes. Apparently, when they
Secundus
finally went... I did read that when Austin Butler and Timothy finally met in person, they were so excited they immediately started like knife fighting. Essentially, no, for real, yeah.
That's awesome.
They were like finally ready to practice their moves on each other because they were like so ready for that scene. They'd been training for it for months. Yeah.
It fucking shows, dude. Me and Haley were because we had no idea what time was at that point in time.
Yeah.
They start swinging at each other and fucking spinning and kicking and. Oh my God, it was so cool.
Yeah.
God damn it, it was so fucking cool. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It was so fucking cool, man.
Apparently in the book, during the fight, Fayed fights very dirty.
Oh, I
and
don't doubt it.
he's got like a belt that I think has like poison spurs, if I remember right.
Uh-huh.
And he like is like using them during the fight. and like Paul is able to like overcome it still or dodge it or something. I don't remember. I haven't read the book. I just read this in a summary, and it just makes it even more impactful that he is able to like not just defeat him in one-on-one combat, but is also able to overcome his like dirty ass tricks, Whereas in the movie, like it's honestly a pretty close fucking fight.
Yeah.
And like Paul almost gets it. Like they all kind of think he's dead.
I think that Paul, so at this point in time, he's taken the blue juice and shit. Like he's huffing up that spice. He really believes that he can see the fucking future.
He's fully white boy goated with the sauce at this point.
Yeah, dude. And so like I think that he saw a vision where like the only way I can win this fight is if I get hit in a spot that doesn't matter. And so he takes the fucking hit and
to make him think that he's won so that I can take him by surprise. Kind of. Yeah.
And yeah, dude, he's goated with the white boy sauce. It's true.
I was trying to work that in there this whole time.
I've been planning to do the suck on this dick for like
we both got our jokes
for like 2 or 3 weeks now. I really wanted you to be like Secundus. Yeah, Secundus dick.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's okay. It's all right.
Play into it better.
I said it so convincingly that you were like, yeah.
No, I was like, yeah, that's
a fighting
definitely.
Style.
I'm glad Will read up on this more than me. I saw this movie alone.
What was that
theater.
like?
A little unsettling, honestly. I've not been to a movie alone since middle school when I saw the Matrix sequels by myself because I didn't end up meeting up with my friends and my dad didn't want to watch the movie, so I was alone.
Okay.
But and I got the handicapped assistant seat.
You got the seat. You got the best seat.
Great seat. I highly recommend this to anybody that goes to a movie alone. Get the handicap assistant seat. As long as it's not like a sold out theater.
Yeah.
You do have to move if someone does end up needing that seat for the, if they're like the handicap assistant person or whatever.
Yeah.
But as long as that's fine. And it's like it's like a matinee showing. So it was fine. Like there was only like maybe a dozen people in that whole theater.
Yeah.
But it was great. I got to sit in like the biggest row. Didn't have to see all the people coming and going constantly, and so I was pretty engrossed and immersed. And like I remember, like I was laughing at stuff. I'm like pointing at the screen, being like, "God damn!" I was gasped when we found out that Lady Jessica is like the daughter of the Baron. I was like, "Holy shit! I didn't see that coming."
The fucking tea, dude. Yeah,
yeah. I was like, I remember looking around like, "Oh, I'm not with anybody," but I was like, "Damn! Did you fucking see that shit coming?"
Yeah. Seeing it with Haley, like that's exactly what it was like. It was just like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm so sad my wife didn't get to see it with me, but like when it comes out, I have the Blu-ray pre-ordered.
Oh, okay, good, yeah.
Will, the second that steelbook went up,
oh, I'm sure.
I think it was like 3 a.m.
Oh my god!
And I did not have my phone on like sleep mode, and I looked over and saw like Dune 2 4K pre-order run up. I was like, open that shit right now. I woke the fuck up. I unlocked my phone and I pre-ordered 2 different copies.
You fucking locked in, dude.
I got a copy from 2 different stores just to make sure I get it. And like, I'll probably end up returning one of them, but like, I got it on lock.
Nice. Because
I have the first Dune steelbook and it's amazing. And it's one of the most sought after steelbooks because it looks so fucking good.
Not Grave of the Fireflies?
Okay. So funny story about that. I found out that steelbook wasn't officially released by G Kids, therefore it's not part of that set, and that's why it's so expensive too.
Okay.
It was an off-brand release, so I don't need to own it technically, and I can let go of that nagging voice in my head about not having a full set.
It's not for kids, anyways.
That too. It definitely doesn't sound like a movie I need to watch with my daughter. When I found the steelbook subreddit post about it too, they were like, "Why does this steelbook cost so much?" Someone was like, "Well, because you have to factor in the price of therapy you're going to need after the movie."
That's good.
This conversation is for 2 people in the world.
It's just for me and him. You guys get to listen though.
I'm forgetting. We didn't even talk about Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken.
I mean, they're small roles.
They are, but like they're doing great stuff there.
Yeah, of course.
I love the idea of Christopher Walken being the Emperor. Like, because I was like, who can they cast?
Yeah,
and it's like, honestly, they did a great job. Florence Pugh's amazing in everything she's ever been in. I've never seen anything with her that I didn't like.
Well, you haven't seen Black Widow.
This is true. and that's not going to change.
But hey, she
So-
is likable in that film. She's like
I
the best
bet.
part of
That's
that movie.
the thing. I know her. I don't think that movie will be bad because of her, you know? But yeah, the whole Emperor and the Emperor's daughter stuff is great.
Leah Sedo's got a little hairless baby in her.
Oh, she's amazing. She's so good.
Yeah, she is.
I know her from Death Stranding.
Yes, she's fragile, but she's not fragile.
Not that fragile.
Yeah.
But when she showed up, I was like, that's my fucking girl, dude.
Yeah.
That's Fragile. And she was so good. The way she's like fucking with Fayed and like even makes him like teleport a little bit too was so cool. And when she's like fully giving the Reverend Mother like the full rundown of him, and she's like, oh, well, he's easily manipulated via like what, sex and violence.
Yeah.
And it's like
the things that he likes.
And then you like, it's implied that like she forced him to have sex with her after, you know, the flashback or whatever cuts off. And I just remember being like, yeesh, I'm glad we don't see that shit. But yeah, Fayed's a little freak, a little fucking weirdo that likes to lick knives and kill his servants.
So no shit, dude. I went, obviously I was in Kentucky literally the day after I saw this movie. And it was for a game show for like retailers. Like, you know, please put our stock in your store. And there's a company that does a game called War for Arrakis. It's a Dune game.
Yeah.
I played one round of it. And for some reason I thought, oh, okay, I can just buy a copy of this at their booth. And they were saying, we're selling this at half the cost. We're selling it for like $50. I was like, oh my God, I have to buy this. This is fucking amazing. Well, actually it was for retailers if they had, the box is actually $300.
Yeah.
But dude, Austin Butler's performance made me love Fade Rotha, and I picked the Harkonnen side to play on.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the fuck do I get Austin Butler? Tell me now. Like, oh, he's a card. You can get him later on. First card I drew, Fade Rotha. And all you have to get rid of Rabba.
Yeah.
Rabin, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
And put Fade Rotha on the table. But like, I was like, dude, I've got Austin Butler. I'm about to play his ass, dude. He's gonna be licking fucking everybody. Everybody gets licked. But dude, that game is actually really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's not $300 good, but it's very good.
Yeah. Maybe go in on it with a group of friends
You're gonna
that you can
have
play
to.
with. Yeah.
But it supports up to 4 people, and the Fremen side is like what they do is significantly different from what the Harkonnens do.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
Cool. There is an upcoming video game that's like an open world sandbox thing.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that.
No, neither do I.
I watched like a trailer, and then the more I was learning about it, I was like, I'm out on this. There have been some really good Dune RTS games.
I don't doubt that.
Especially from like the early 90s that have like ruled apparently. And like there was like a kind of recent one, I think that's okay. But they were like I think one of the first Dune RTS games was like the first RTS game. It like created the genre, which is like, that's so fucking cool to think about. Yeah. Man. Dune. I'm so glad I'm Dune pilled now.
Yeah, same here, man.
Because I knew like nothing about Dune before part 1. And I remember turning to my wife in the middle of that movie, just being like, "Oh, I'm Dune pilled. Like I'm all in on this shit.
I'm gonna drink that fucking worm juice.
I'm
dude.
drinking the juice, baby. At least I know, Gabe.
It's my game. It's funny because like this isn't really a new property, and this isn't like a new universe and whatnot.
No, but it's
like,
new for me.
I know. I was gonna say is like Denny makes it feel new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like we need
Denis Villeneuve makes it feel new.
Yeah, exactly. I've been like if you listen to the show, you know that I love sci-fi and I love new, different sci-fi that's beyond what we know, and like man, it's crazy.
Yeah, because this isn't like, it's not a retread of tropes, and yet it's older than most of the ones we're familiar with. Maybe all of them.
It is what the tropes come from.
Yeah,
like I cannot tell you, Jared, how often I when I watch these films, I just think, man, it's just crazy what Warhammer lifted off of this.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, like it created one of your like favorite properties, essentially. I know J.R.R. Tolkien hated the book, which I think is weird. I wonder, I don't think he ever actually wrote down why, like his criticisms of it.
Sure.
But I find that fascinating. But I don't really know too much about J.R.R. Tolkien outside of like he wrote Lord of the Rings.
He's like very religious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes me think.
But
I wonder if that's
I'm almost
infecting why he doesn't like it.
I was gonna say I'm almost positive that the guy who wrote this is religious too. like big on it. Because
really, I feel like it's kind of anti-religious in the fact that it's at least in the sense that like it's about how organized religion
can corrupt.
manipulate and
sure.
corrupt. Yeah. So I guess you could still be religious and still have that opinion. I guess I shouldn't be.
Maybe he's a Christian and not a Catholic.
Possibly.
There you go.
Yeah,
could be that.
I think it's explained in the expanded novels, but like there are just Orthodox Jews still, like 10,000 years in the future.
I don't doubt
they have
that.
not changed at all. Yeah. That's entirely based on the tweet that I read, though.
Oh, okay. You better fact check that, dude. You're gonna get canceled.
I'm done. You're done.
Is there anything else that
real fast?
Yeah. What's up?
Okay, the scene where all of the Fremen are having their like meeting, the council meeting.
Yes, and you cannot talk unless you're holding the conch.
Right, and
that's not true. It's not a conch, but
it's not a conch, but like you have to be like a leader of like one of the tribes. And Stilgar is, a representative of where Paul is coming from. And when Paul gets there, he's told that like you have to kill Stilgar in order to speak here. And
because he's not the leader.
Right. And Stilgar was like, I'm ready. Like, let's do this. He's like, I'm happy to do this for you. And Paul is like, fuck no. And this is when he's already drinking the juice. He's fully goated on the sauce. Yeah. And he has fully embraced, like, I'm fucking Lee Sen Gabe. Like, I have to, like,
it's me, dude.
Tell these people, like, we need to go to war right now.
I'm here.
And so he starts shouting at, like, what are, like, thousands of people in this room. I have to paraphrase it, but he's like, why would I break one of our best knives before we go to war, essentially?
Yeah.
And he's implying, like, killing Stilgar.
Yeah.
And he just yells this at everyone. And he's like, I'm not going to fucking do that. And everyone's just like stunned because he's refuting their customs, but giving them
claiming to be their messiah.
Well, yeah, and giving them a perfectly valid reason why. Yeah. And then he gets challenged by a different guy, and he looks at him, and he just says like,
"I know your grandmother's name."
Yeah, your
like
grandmother used to like do this for you and would say these things to you. And then
she's been dead for like 14 years.
Yeah, and the guy just goes, Lee Sen Gabe.
Oh, it's him.
And then
Muad'Dib.
I think, does he do something to each of like the leaders?
No, but it's
just a couple of guys.
All he had to do was convince a couple of them,
right?
And they all.
And then he says like,
over.
"We're going to take this planet back. This planet now called Arrakis, but what you used to call Dune."
Yep.
And when he drops that shit, I was like,
yeah.
I gasped. It's amazing.
That's really good, dude.
And he just like, he goes full like rallying the fucking troops.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone in that room that was not on his side, I mean, aside from Chani, obviously.
Yeah, she was
who
like,
is seeing this happen and is like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
This is exactly what he said he wasn't going to do. But he is making like martyrs out of everybody in that room. Like they're all ready to lay their life on the line for him now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is the fucking dude. Like, even if they don't believe the prophecy, they're like, this dude is surely good enough to be our fucking leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then like he can't turn back from there. So he finds out that he has like a nuclear arsenal ready to go that belonged to his father that was hidden on Arrakis.
Every family has them, apparently.
Yeah, every great house has something.
You become a great house, you get 12
you just get
atomic
fucking
bombs.
Nukes. Yeah. They call them atomic bombs, not nukes, but they're nukes, right?
Right.
Now in the book, how they're utilized, because in the film you just see like, so the Emperor has landed on the planet because Paul has written a letter to him saying like, I'm challenging, like, right? Isn't he challenging him?
I cannot remember.
I forget what the letter says, but he essentially draws the Emperor to Arrakis because the Emperor is there to tell the Baron like, you are fucking up.
Yeah, this is bad.
You need to kill, the fucking Muad'Dib. Like, it's getting out of control. This could threaten to end like my reign. Like, you have to get this under control.
Yeah. And
by luring them, Paul now has all of the people he needs in one place, and that's when he goes in and challenges him.
It's so funny because the Baron is still scheming up to that point.
Yeah,
because he's like, "Hey, go tell the other families that the Emperor brought his buddies here,
and he's invading me.
Yeah, to attack me. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, and that's how all the other houses are now, like
in
over
orbit.
the planet in orbit. Yeah. But anyway, Paul's begins to attack them. And initially he launches the nukes kind of like just past where all the troops are stationed, so that it creates a dust storm that sweeps over all the ships and disables their shields, so that they can just sweep right in first with the worms and
shock troops
and fuck up as much of them as they can. And then all the Fremen come over the hill and just start laying waste to them.
It's amazing.
In the book, all the Emperor's troops are stationed like on this big rock formation that's like where the city is located. And it's like, you know, it's like an embattlement, it's like a fortified position.
A bastion.
That's part of like the planet's rock formation.
Sure.
And he just destroys it all with the nukes. And then they just go in and like lay waste to the survivors.
Oh, okay.
That's my understanding of what I was reading about how it happens in the book. Because I was trying to understand, why did he launch the nukes and it didn't land on them? And I was like, oh, he creates a dust storm, which is like very tactical, like makes a lot of sense. Like watching it out. This scene is, if you haven't seen it, it's so
awesome.
fucking enthralling.
It's so
oh my
cool.
God. And then when the guys are running the worms through the people, oh my God, it's so
It's
good.
badass as hell, dude. The whole fight sequence is fucking amazing.
Insane. And then what's amazing is like after all the initial attacks, we cut to the room where the Emperor and the Baron and everyone are hiding.
Yep.
And they're just hearing the fight outside as the Fremen are working their way in. And then the Sardaukar, the last line of the Sardaukar anyway, that are inside the Emperor's room, you know, draw their swords at the ready and start charging at the door, you know, ready for anyone to walk in. And then you see like the Fremen burst the door open. There's a big dust cloud, so you don't hear the fight, or you don't see the fighting, you hear it. And then all of a sudden, Paul and like a few other Fremen just walk forward. All the fucking Sardaukar are dead.
Yeah.
Fucking nothing.
There's like 10 of them that are guarding the royals.
Yeah, it's a whole line of them.
But even then, like, they're like, okay, well, let's go ahead and just bring all the royals and kill Sardaukar. Just get rid of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
It's really
and then
good.
Paul just walks right up to the Baron, who is like clawing his way. His like hover machine has been disabled.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
because the Emperor was like attacking him.
Yeah,
but he's like crawling his way up the steps to sit on the Emperor's throne, which is like, it's so pathetic, right?
Hey,
but Paul
Pep.
just walks right up to him and
he says, "Hey, Pep, Pep, Pep,
Peepaw, remember me?
Yeah, get fucked."
My name is Paul Atreides. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And then just like fucking slices his throat right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And then looks over at the Emperor and walks up. And he's like, "What's up?"
Why did you do this? This is the consequences of your actions. You're now currently in the find out portion of the fuck around.
Exactly. Well, then they move to that control room and he has his fight with Fayed.
That's fucking
and we've
awesome.
already talked about it. It's
So good.
great. Oh, God. It's so good.
May thy knife chip and shatter. So good.
What a little bitch.
I love it.
Oh, did we ever circle back on his, so his like early in the film.
Yeah.
He is talking in a dream to Jamis.
Yeah, he says, "Hey, show me what I need to do."
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like learning from him in like this vision.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
But like it's never implied that he can communicate with the dead.
Yeah, it's never. So here's the thing. I think that
but I think,
we really are coming way out of the left field there. So
I think we talked about this an hour ago. Yeah.
So if you remember, he has a vision and he sees Jamis teaching him of the desert, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's supposed to be like a visionary cue to like something that's symbolic, right? So Jamis is the first person that he kills on Arrakis. It's the first person he kills ever. Yeah.
And he has an important place in his memory. He wants to remember him. You know, he respects him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, if you think about it, like him not...
he helps carry his body to a lot. Yeah.
Him not yielding to Paul was Paul's first lesson truly of Arrakis, which is it will kill that which is weak.
Right.
That which is weak does not deserve to live.
And you cannot hesitate to.
Exactly. So in a way, Jamis does show him the way of Arrakis through his death. And I think that Paul kind of is leaning on that, like, you know, you were there in my dreams. You have to help me now. And unfortunately, like, obviously that's not the case. That's not what happens, you know, not in real life.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the Fremen camp do teach him things like, you know, Chani.
Chani sees him wandering off alone in the desert, and she's like, he's not going to last the summer. I should go, like, help him.
Show him how to sandwalk and other things.
What I wonder about the scene with Jami, though, Jami's whatever. I'd never settled on an official, just like Denny. I think it could be a few things. One, it could be him imagining what he would say to him as, like, maybe as a comfort to himself. Number two, is it like one of his powers that he can commune with the dead? The most far-fetched of what I'm pitching here.
Yeah.
And three, is it him imagining it but thinking it's a vision and interpreting it as a vision? Because he is given information from, like, outside sources that are not his own voice, like when he flies into the dust cloud, and something like a woman's voice almost whispers to him, like, you know, turn the engine off and whatever. Is it him imagining that he's communing with his spirit, but it's really not, and he's just fucking tripping fucking balls,
manipulated,
and he's being manipulated by Bene Gesserit?
That's a possibility.
That's the thing. What's amazing is it could be any of those. And maybe it's more clear in the book, which it actually is.
Oh, is it?
Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I've not read it. Again, anytime I'm quoting something from it, it's just something I read, you know, in a summary or what have you. But the fact that it's open for interpretation is so fascinating to me, you know. And it's one of those things where, like, it doesn't need to be crystal clear. What is important are, like, the more, you know, tangible events of the film. Yeah. It's just one of those things that is kind of lingering. It makes you wonder, just like the worm's blood that they drink, the water of life or what have you. Like, what is it actually doing to them? It's doing
something, dude.
Is it just having a near-death experience is what changes them? Is it not actually, you know,
I don't know,
making them change? It's just having that near-death experience is what makes them go, like, oh, I'm going whole hog on this, like, Messiah, Lisan Al Gabe thing now. I
really do think that it changes them because, like, Paul is 1,000%.
But is it
convinced,
like spiritually or just mentally though?
It's something because he's convinced that he can see the future.
Yeah,
and now he's like, I have to do this in order to survive.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if that's like a logical conclusion. Or
I wonder if it's just the near-death experience that makes him more committed and less, like, ambivalent and wavering on what to do.
Possibly, I don't know.
That's what I think is up for interpretation, and again makes it even more fascinating.
Well, you know, Denny doesn't miss.
No, and Frank Herbert too. We should give credit to him.
That's true.
Yeah. May he rest in peace. He wrote an amazing book. He did do some sequels. I understand they get pretty batshit because people say this story is insane.
I know,
but things I know about the sequels,
like book 4 or 5, there's some crazy shit that's going on.
Okay, should we just say it? Is that the one where
his son becomes a worm?
Dude.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
really hope that I get to see that on film one day. I want to see that so bad.
Now, I know that Frank Herbert's son inherited the franchise and wrote some extra books as well, and they are apparently terrible. They're so awful.
We love seeing fail sons on this podcast.
Okay. Lisan Al Gabe.
Lisan Al Gabe. I can't even fucking say it anymore.
The idea that so much of Dune is about the opposite of a fail son, someone succeeding their father, both in revenge and in stature and power, and it's all about how, like, all of these things his father tried to teach and instill in him, and he doesn't do them. You know what I mean? Like, I think his father wants him to, like, because when Oscar Isaac is alive, he sees that Paul is troubled by
the visions and shit. Yeah,
the visions and, like, having to be, you know, his father's heir. And he's like, and he tells him straight up, he's like, what if I don't want to be the Duke of Atreides? And he's like, you don't have to be.
Yeah,
all you have to be is my son. But what does he do? He fucking becomes a messiah because his father is killed just so that he can get revenge.
So part of, well, here's the thing is like, that's the, oh my God, we've talked so much.
I know.
So part of him becoming like messiah-like was him emulating his fucking dad.
That too.
He was emulating his dad.
Greater even.
Right. Or he was trying not to be messianic until he did the blue juice. He did what his mom does. He embraced his father's, like, who his father was and tried to be like his father. Yeah. And in doing so, made himself look like he is humble and understanding. And that is winning over fundamentalists in the Fremen. And then when he does what his mom does, which is chase the prophecy worm, he immediately is like, oh, I have to do, my hand has been forced. Yeah. I have to do this in order for me, my mom, my sister to survive. And all of these people are just willing to do it for me. So why the fuck not?
And he just goes in front of all of them and goes, I am him. God damn it.
Yeah, he is me.
Yeah.
And so like, even though he wants to be like his father, he is his mother. He's his mother's son.
Yeah.
It's cool, man.
And I think the fact that he is ultimately his mother's son is what dooms him even more.
Yep.
And I think, okay, before he dies, Duke Atreides has an argument with his concubine, importantly not his wife, Lady Jessica, about this sort of thing. Because he's like, you gave me a son. And he's like, and obviously he's happy about that, but he's like, I know there's some weird shit going on with you in the Bene Gesserit. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's accusing her of like manipulating him even about this. And he's like, what is going on with all this shit? Like, what is my son supposed to be? Like, why are the Bene Gesserit involved? Like, I don't like any of this. And it's clear as day that like, just like Leia Sadu seduces and manipulates Fayed, that's what Lady Jessica was doing to him.
Yep.
Maybe there was some actual love there. And like a real relationship bloomed, but she was sent there from the beginning to create Paul.
Do something. Yeah, exactly.
And I think the Reverend Mother, when she shows up in part 1, is even accusing her of like, you were not supposed to have a son with him because you were trying to induce the crazy word that we can't say.
That's Haderach.
That thing. But that's what fucking happened, man.
Yeah,
it's
nuts.
It's so crazy. There's
crazy
so many angles and cycles and I think we have to leave it there.
Okay.
It's so late.
It is late. And
this was
I think
such a good...
also went 2 hours.
Well, folks, that's been our Dune episode.
That was Dune, baby.
That was Dune. I think we got it out of our system. Thank you for listening to Debaser. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app. If you haven't already, how have you not? You can also follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. We're also on YouTube as Debaser Podcast. We should be up to date. We are as of this recording right now, and I'm sure this episode will be on YouTube the same week it goes up on your podcast app.
Hell yeah.
My wonderful co-host, as always, is Will Taylor. Will, where can people find you, and do you have anything to plug?
I'd like to plug the Lisan Al-Gaib. May he lead us to paradise.
Lisan Al-Gaib. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. Good night, and good luck to the Lisan Al-Gaib. Debaser is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to podcast@debaserpod.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. If you write a 5-star review of Debaser on Apple Podcasts, I may read your review in a future episode. Thanks for listening, and take care out there.